And going live. Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can see me because, goddamn, I hate YouTube setup for this. And no, we cannot go to Twitch. I am Shinta as always, and with me is my regular co-host, Alexis Rhodes.
Hello.
And we are finally getting back to Paper Mario. And everything that's related to that. Hopefully the sound balance is good for you guys, and you can actually see us. Seriously, I hate the YouTube setup. Okay, people can see us, so we are having fewer problems with this than we normally do. And we are not getting interrupted by any calls from work today. I am actually... phone bill. Yeah, so we can just get started straight away. Again, let us know if the sound balance is off, because the HDMI adapter for older consoles kind of goes wonky with sound quality versus the HD setups.
Yep.
Guessing John's preoccupied. John's doing his own thing in the other room.
Also, like, because I'll be playing the game, David,
Yeah, I'll be taking care of the chat.
Alrighty. Alright, so I'm gonna begin.
Yeah. Considering this is Lexi's game, we're having her take over again.
Yeah, this is my childhood right here.
Yeah.
We are the X-Nauts.
Ah ha ha, your costume is ridiculous.
I always love the design of these guys. They're trying to be threatening, but they kind of look cute to me.
Fanfiction98, I was wondering why isn't your Kyoryuger review on Dailymotion? For one very simple reason. Dailymotion doesn't pay people, and I stopped being able to upload videos to Dailymotion a long time ago. If you look through the backlog archive back there, there's a lot of missing videos because Dailymotion does not even pretend to have the same type of copyright content ID reporting system and refusion system that YouTube does. It's why I finally stopped using it. I kept getting videos removed without any awareness they were getting taken down until someone told me, and I could not fight their removals. So it just became worse and worse once they started doing that.
Oh, so we have the leader of the X-Nauts, Grodius.
Incoming message from the big giant head.
Princess Peach, you will speak when spoken to.
Urge my favorite Sentai. I don't disagree with that. There are others I like more, but I generally disagree with those who think it's a bad show. And I hope I made a clear point on that when I reviewed it. Like, I know a few people in the Togosphere that at least listened to my opinion and reconsidered it because of my perspective on it, which, that's a good thing, in my opinion. Yeah, for that.
We X-Nauts are not all rainbows and lollipops. I assure you, we're quite nasty.
Here, Crystal, I thought I saw a bunny tat.
X gonna give it to you. Brodus, sir, I have news.
Now, Rangers, observe the viewing box.
You know that Christmas star we thought maybe Hooktail had? Well, somebody nabbed it. There's more too. See, according to the report, it was a mustache dude in a red hat and blue overalls who pulled the job.
My god, this can only be the work of John Leguizamo.
Mario! Excuse me, Mario? Oh no, ah, dang it! Princess Peach is that girl where if, like, everybody else was doing a heist, she would blather the cops first and then make them all tea. What's even funnier is that they don't know about Mario.
They come across Luigi. There's Mario, get him!
Wait, what? No, what's actually funny is that it's not so much a side quest, but after every chapter, you can encounter Luigi, and he'll tell you an epic tale of his own adventures for a game that will never ever happen.
Oliver Hertz, any chance you've heard about those controversial interviews where Kensuke Tanabe said something along the lines of, since Sticker Star is no longer possible to modify Mario's character?
Oh, I remember that one. I heard about that, yeah.
I did not, but I'm not that active in the Nintendo fandom space. Like, I like games, but I don't engage with that. Honestly, the most engagement of Nintendo discourse I ever saw much of was back when the Smash Brothers Brawl redesigned Samus so she had the jet boot heels, because people felt that Samus wouldn't, due to her character, wouldn't be using heels with that kind of design to them.
Yep. So, the next Crystal Star we're hunting is in the Bogley Woods.
Have you heard of the Madoka Magica PSP RPG game? No, we've not. I'm assuming you haven't.
I haven't either.
Yeah. Probably when the property was newer. Like, I know there's a bunch of Puella Magi manga that are set in the post-Madoka reset timeline, but I've not really engaged with any of that. I know this, somebody I follow brings them up on occasion, but I can't remember who.
Yeah, go get the Shadow Sirens over here. The Shadow Sirens, sir? But they
sing!
I don't care how you plan to end that sentence, fool. Go get them now!
So, any thoughts on the new Pokemon Gen trailer? I don't know whether I'm getting Scarlet or Violet yet, but I want Grass Kitty.
I'm gonna get Violet and Fuecoco, the Fuecoco gang. He's a cute little fire lizard man.
Yeah, it's rare that I don't want the fire Pokemon in a Pokemon game, but I want to go Grass Starter this time. And Alexis is the opposite. She usually chooses the grass or water ones.
Yeah, but sorry, it's just he's a round apple lizard man. He's spherical.
I'm actually going to reserve some time to actually play it outright, so we might do that for a bit of streaming fodder after it releases. Who knows? We will be doing. We're considering. I should phrase this appropriately. We're considering doing Pokemon Legends Arceus because I got a copy of that, and I generally dislike Sinnoh, but maybe I'll like it more in its Hisui and Ancient variant.
Yep, and since you missed your chance to tell who Mario has the map.
Yeah. I think I've asked before, but would you ever review Forest Gridman Dyna Xenon? There's the problem with that. I might talk about them if and when I do Super Robot Wars 30, which would be years and years from now, but to review the anime kind of requires me to deep dive into the Tokusatsu series, and as has been discussed before, there are no good quality subs of the 1993 Gridman series. Primarily because Mill Creek completely fucked up and recycled the Garbage Machine translation. We were so collectively mad at that I actually returned my copy of the Blu-ray when it came in.
Like, I'm keeping my copy simply as a record of this, physical proof that this is how bad they are, and like, we have every right to be mad at Mill Creek because they specifically said that the subs would be different this time and they would be better, and
that they would hire someone to redo those subs, and they didn't.
Right. It's like they blatantly lied about the quality of the subs, and people harp on sub quality all the time because when a show is being brought over from overseas, like, if the only language that series is coming in is Japanese, then you want to experience the story as intended. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, but when those subs are like terrible, or like, and not just in terms of translation, but in terms of the timing and the communication of them,
or it's the chances they have grammatical errors. A bunch of Media Blasters translations were well translated, but they had grammatical errors in the script, like punctuation in the wrong places. The Gao Gaigar DVDs are actually like that. I checked over them, where that the translation is not wrong, the grammar use is. Sorry, you were saying?
Oh, nothing.
So yeah, it's rare that any series gets a second chance on that. Most of the time, if the series is relicensed, unless it's done by Discotech, they don't get any retranslations. And honestly, I think that's why Alexis and I have become so huge fans of Discotek's releases, because on top of just awesome stuff they've been getting, they do retranslations for everything. Like, okay, huge example of this, the series Bobo Bobo, a comedy anime from the 2000s based off a Shonen Jump manga, was originally released without subtitles because the releasers thought that all the text, too much. Discotek, when they got it, translated every line in the show, both in the transcripts and of the characters actually on screen. It was insane.
Yeah, like, that was, like, such a hard flex.
Yeah.
How do you keep making these doors open? How odd.
Didn't Gridman get released in the official Super I channel, or did they use the machine translation too? Yeah, that's the machine translation.
Yep.
And HD Fies, yeah, I remember the Mummy, Mirror Error, and Dynazenon subs. For those who didn't see that, or saw it after Funimation acknowledged the mistake and corrected it, the Japanese loan word for mummy is Mira. M-I-I-R-A. This is because the, word and concept, I shouldn't say concept, Egyptian mummies were first brought over to Japan by Portuguese salesmen who, described the mummy as being sealed in a preservative, which they said were Mira. And they confused the preservative, Mira, with the entire mummy, and no one corrected them until the loan word caught on, and they never corrected it. Funimation confused that loan word with the English word Mira, which is, you know, mirror. So that's why that happened. Yeah. But the thing is, they're spelled with different katakana. They just are homonyms of each other, aka they are pronounced the same, but they have different spelling.
And so while it shouldn't have happened in the first place, it feels like one of the more forgivable examples of that. You know what
Yeah, where someone just wasn't paying attention, or hell, you plug that into Google Translate and it tells you what got caught. Because Google Translate these days isn't that bad, as long as you're not using the actual page translator.
Yeah.
That one, unfortunately, is still open source editing, so people can screw with it.
Yeah. I am this laboratory's main computer. I am the TEC-XX. Many call me Tech.
Would you like to vent all the atmosphere from the space station?
Sir Grotus created me to be a perfect computer, one that is flawless in its reason. Grotus, wait, is he that awful dome-headed thing who interrogated me?
Just... Running Rider just got into SG-1 and sees why we like. Think you'll ever do a review of the series on it and its following series, or copyright going to be a problem? Stargate's license is currently at Amazon because MGM kind of went under, so I don't think I'll ever review the full series. I don't know what SF Debris is doing. Chuck Sonnenberg, aka SF Debris, is a fantastic reviewer, and he's done a bunch of Stargate episodes. He's been trying to do more since he's, like, only got a couple dozen Star Trek episodes left to do out of the 700 plus that were made. His main bread and butter for the last decade and a half have been Stargate episodes.
Yep.
Or Star Trek episodes.
Yep. Also, I am unsure an unusual program deviation occurred when I observed you earlier. This guy spied on Peach when she was in the shower.
That's HAL 9000.
My higher brain circuitry malfunctioned nearly overheated at your image.
That's HAL 9000.
Also, an impulse sped through my processors. These events aren't new to me.
I call Discotek Media the Devolver Digital of anime, if you know what Devolver Digital is. I know what Devolver Digital is, and I have not liked a single thing they've ever done, including and especially their E3 presentations. Those disturbed me. I think they're just generally bad.
You want to observe me to know more about me?
Any interest in playing older Persona or Shin Megami Tensei titles? I've got a Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne Remastered, featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series. And yes, that is where that joke originated. We've gone through it a bit, and honestly, it's kinda hard to get into. Not to say that I won't, but...
Let me put it this way. Well, I can certainly see, like, how it has, like, the Shin Megami Tensei side of things has its fans, and by no means am I saying 3 is bad by any stretch. It's just, for some people, like, the gameplay may not click as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, due to age. Now, that's not necessarily mean that I hate the gameplay because it's old, but, like, there's definitely a gameplay is aged kind of experience with that. Like, Atlas never quite does the same thing twice. They use a different setting, they go to different places, they make different options available. Persona 5 did a lot to redefine things from 4, and 4 was already a step up from 3, but the reason to go back to each of them would definitely be their story.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna say right now, if Persona 3 ever came to the Switch or a platform where we could stream the game, I would definitely want to at least, like, do some of that. Because Persona 3 is, like, the one where the story's really good, but the gameplay is a bit iffy in spots. But it would be interesting to, like, look back on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Atlas hasn't released their other Persona games on any kind of platform is just mind-boggling, because there's emulation programs out there that, like, do that. Davis?
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more! Yes!
But you don't know what love is? I want to know what love is!
Yeah. Oh, thank you for letting me know about this. Arceus is great, but it's annoying that HJ5's had to buy a copy of Brilliant Diamond just to unlock Darkrai and complete the Pokedex. Yeah. There are subtitles for the older Brave series, so we'll possibly review them, though Mike Guy's translation wasn't finished. I don't exactly know what happened to Mike Guy's translation, because I had a hard drive crash. Most of what was translated, and you saw from in V, where when I used clips from the ending episodes, that's the reason why there was no subtitle track in them. The series was never quite completed outside of HK subs, which were pretty terrible.
What? Your computer? Why would you care about love?
But yeah, one of the other series with completed translation is actually J-Decker, which if anyone else here played Super Robot Wars 30, that's kind of why. It got translated to English, and then it got moderate interest in it. Same thing with Firebird, to explain the, is this a pigeon meme? And its origin? But yeah, Gao Geiger was given the most attention simply due to it happening at the right time. At least in the Western fronts, which is why Media Blasters released it, and they also had plans to do more Brave series past it, but then it floundered because all attention was given to the release of Beast King Go Lion because fucking Voltron. And that's why we didn't get more Brave series, even though there were intentions to do them. This is kind of why we're hoping Discotech will manage to pick up Gao Gaigar, it does well, and then we get more Brave series officially imported. Guessing you know about the Crunchyroll getting all Funimation's anime library for streaming. Yeah, we're not, or at least I should say, I'm not that enthused with it because, well, Funimation and Crunchyroll both have had issues with their subtitle tracks, like, too many issues to name. One thing we're generally irritated with them, though, is they don't translate songs. And they don't even translate the songs when they then put them on the Blu-rays because they're just transcribing the streaming tracks.
More specifically, the Funimation doesn't, like, translate their songs, like, which is super weird to me because there are some anime where they do and some they don't, and I don't understand why there's no consistency.
I was specifically referencing Funimation on that, and yeah, there's a bunch. I think it's the ones where they did them as simul streaming, where they don't have the tracks, whereas their older stuff where they put it on disc first, or they got the license long after a release, where they have those tracks available, or the song translations available. If it's newer stuff, they're just not doing it.
Yep, so Princess Peach has kind of had a weird day. Like, not only was she kidnapped, but a computer has fallen in love with her. And it's like, that's freaking weird.
I have never heard of Vanillaware 13 Sentinel Aegis Rim RTSRP Mecha game. Is that its actual game, or did you game title, or did you just add in a bunch of genre tags to it? Is its name like actually Sentinel Aegis, and you just didn't?
I think maybe there's like a game called 13 Sentinel or something. Oh, we're checking on Bowser.
Like, it's basically word salad with that. I don't even know what that's referencing.
Can I just say I love how the papercraft aesthetic of this game?
Yeah, but there are some English VAs who are good singers. And there are, but we don't care. Because if it's a Japanese soundtrack and it's a Japanese opening sequence, they need to translate it. We don't care if they made a dub song opening. And in fact, Funimation has not done dub song openings in years because everybody hated what they did with the One Piece ones. Not helped by them being sung primarily by Vic Banana.
Although I will say the ones they did for like the Yu Yu Hakusho stuff, I thought that was nice.
Those weren't terrible, I agree, but it's like it's an unnecessary extra effort. Like, focus on the important stuff.
Look at this.
It made sense when they were actually releasing them on TV because you needed something for that, and apparently kids can't understand that this is from a foreign country because idiots, but there's no point to it anymore. So if they're not going to dub it, they need the subtitle track for the song.
Basically, like, if you want to do an English dub opening, fine, go right ahead, like, knock your socks off, but for the Japanese track, at least, you still gotta translate it, you know what I mean? Please, your grumpiness, don't be so impatient with your poor servant.
Hey, I'm Grump.
And he's also Grump. And Scum is off to a town called Roadport. Hey, Mario's babysitter, I don't care what he's doing.
It's not that I care, Baka.
That's what you see, my lord. Apparently Mario is hunting for an amazing treasure. Treasure? Yes, Mario has gone in search of a star-shaped jewel known as the Crystal Stars.
World domination!
I love that, like, Bowser wasn't interested until the word treasure was mentioned. I like fried eggs. I love fried eggs. Whoa, but what a weird question. Why do you ask?
Okay, Vanillaware is the company Vanillaware is a company that made Odin Sphere and Dragon's Crown. Yeah, I don't engage with them. Still pretty much describing word salad, dude. There's one other show you want Discotheque to rescue, what would it be and why? Zoids. Like, there's a couple things I want Discotheque to rescue, but Gao Gaigar and Zoids are pretty much at the top of the list.
What would I personally pick? Like, honestly, like, it would be, like, the longest shot possible.
Mazen Kaiser's OVA 2, just to preempt, sorry.
Like, the longest shot possible that I want to see is any Macross series.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely prefer them doing it over Funimation doing it, because Funimation is supposed to be doing it, but they only just did that license to get Robotech, and they released Robotech.
Like, I mean, with how passionate Discotheque can be on, like, any given release, I would love to see what they could bring to the Macross series.
They would definitely rescue the ADV dub.
Because, that's, like, almost lost media at this point, you know what I mean?
And someone who knows could probably send them the spare DVDs of that. For those who don't know, Macross was briefly licensed by ADV in the early 2000s because Harmony Gold's license lapsed, but the second they paid up the license, ADV lost their rights to that.
I gotta kidnap her back. He's like, wait, Princess Peach was kidnapped? Well, that's not fair. I'm the only one that can do that.
Why do you think some shows don't get relicensed, like some Geneon Entertainment titles, for example? I think some of them are due to just their rights owners not wanting to redistribute the license. Case in point, some of the early Tenchi media, like the first 2 OVA series, no one's done a re-release of them. Gravion's another one that's been stuck in licensing limbo, but at least their DVDs, which I got copies of last year, have are at least in decent circulation, so they're not ridiculously expensive like Evangelion and GaoGaiGars are to get. Beyblade is still going? Yes, Beyblade is still going.
Yeah, so for those who don't...
Beyblade is also still broadcast on TV on occasion, which is why they made dub openings.
So for those who don't recall, last time Mario and company recruited this little guy named Koops, and we slew a dragon, rescued a dad. We made some made some friends,
and fun was I had all around.
Yep.
And now he's going to retract all his limbs into a shell, and Mario's going to ride him off into the distance.
No, our rideable companion won't be until Chapter 3.
Aww.
But Chapter 3 is probably like one of my favorites in this game because of how unique it is.
Macross would be good, but if it was dubbed, should they dub the music or not bother?
Do you want to have an answer that since I'm the Macross person?
I'm pretty sure both dubs had the soundtracks translated, not just the Robotech version.
Yeah, like honestly, like that would be that's a good question, and quite frankly, I know we were just saying about like not doing English dub openings, but for Macross, I would not be opposed to them doing like English covers of like the songs if like the songs were hard to like license. You know what I mean?
Mid-episode insert tracks are a half and half kind of thing. You can translate them, you can dub them, but you should probably leave them alone if you're not going to get the same beat and tempo to them. Like, you can't vary what's being said too much if there's a narrative intent.
Right.
Case in point, the Symphogear songs.
Right. For example, if they ever license the Macross movie, Do You Remember Love? The title track, Do You Remember Love, that's sung like at the climax of the movie, that has a specific tone that it's going for, and it's sung in such a particular way that if they were to replicate that in an English for an English cover, like I would be amazed and give them applause. But if they mess it up, then egg on your face. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
most of the time, though, dubs have been leaving songs like that alone. Cross Ages dub, for example, left alone any of the songs sung by Nana Mizuki and her co-compatriots in the voice cast for that, because the English voice cast just was not able to hit the same kind of notes on that.
Right. To be fair, like it's not a Mizuki.
It's not a Mizuki.
Like like you can't go up against the Queen. You know what I mean?
Pure Crystal is also hoping that Discotek might rescue the Nanoha dubs, because not every entry in that series got a chance at that. Emerald DC, have you two gotten a chance to play Super Robot Wars Double now that there's an English patch? I downloaded the English patch. I downloaded the Melon DS emulator, which is apparently the best version, and my new PC, which is Windows 11, can't run Melon DS due to Windows 11 compatibility issues. Ah!
Yeah. But hey, for the people who are playing it, I am so happy that you guys are having a chance to play it.
Like, Double is one of the best ones. Every series in it works from the synopsis I read of it years ago. It's like, it's GaoGaiGar, it's GaoGaiGar Final, it's Gundam Seed, it's Go Lion, it's Tekka Man frickin' Blade. Like, you can't go wrong with anything in there.
From what I heard from people, it's that rare game where every series in it elevates each other and nothing feels left out. You know what I mean?
Basically, if V had excluded the Universal Century stuff as the predecessor Universal Century material to focus more on the Unicorn stuff, then there wouldn't be as much, not flotsam, but, unnecessary characters part of it, which would have elevated V immensely, even though it was sunk into only focusing around 13 series. Super Robot Wars T is one of those where almost every series is an active part in it, even though the story is not as good as V's. But it's basically the same level. If Futo Tensei wasn't being done by Funimation, who would you have preferred to handle it? Discotech.
Either, if not Disco, I think the pecking order is Discotech, Sentai Filmworks, and then whatever, like
Crunchy Funimation, and then at bottom of the barrel will always be 4Kids. But at least with Funimation, there's an A team, a B team, a C team, and a D team with regards to translation. Some of the stuff that is handled by the A team stuff is consistently good, but the stuff people most complain about are done by their D or E teams, where they need to stop being handed those projects, or at least get retrained on how to translate shit. Thoughts on the Futo PI cast announcement? I've got no complaints. The actors part of it were previously featured in Memory of Heroes, and Memory of Heroes' problems with the characters are mainly from them being hit by the character reset button, which is the writer's fault, not the actors. Have you seen the trailer for Futo Tensei? Yes.
Oh yeah, like we were excited for that.
Yeah, especially since the manga was apparently good from what Taka's been saying, but we just no. For some reason, the translation of it stopped after about chapter 6, and we didn't get much info on much past that besides Fang Trigger and Fang Metal.
Also, the art style like goes really hard, and it's like they found a way to replicate the feeling and style of Kamen Rider Double in manga form, and I think that's really awesome. 2022
seems to be the year of Riku Sanjo for some, because his Dragon Quest Legends of Dai manga is finally getting translated by Viz and brought over. And that manga is what originally put him and his artist friend Koji Inada on the map.
Yeah, like, and from what I saw of the anime and from what I know of the, from what I know of things, like, it's a good show. Yeah. Don't really get why Konami bars keep 4Kids around. It's because they still have the rights license for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of their lawsuit where the, judge ruled wrongly. Which question on compilation movies? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing it, so... Will you be buying the MGEX Strike Freedom? Oh, hell yes. Oh, absolutely, like... By the way, if you guys have... I know I've said about hating repeating myself, but some of these are just questions I'm just not seeing. So I don't know what's up with that. Maybe just the timeline is scrolling past them, or I'm not looking at the screen when they're up because I'm partially watching the game. So yeah, like, but yeah, I'm likely to stream building that just to have some fun with the hilarity of it taking me a long time to build a model kit. I swear, when I built the MGEX Unicorn, it literally took me 8 hours. In part because I was trying to not snap the LED lines for that one. So, yeah, after we attained any Crystal Star, we had to come back here so we can reveal the location of the next Crystal Star. Oh. If Super is allowed, do you allowed to... There's an L... That's spelled wrong, so I didn't get that. You did crossover romance. Are there any relationships you think would be interesting and or cute? I would find it fun. I prefer to keep, like, relationships canon to one another. Like, when you insert a character into another series, it can... I don't want to say backfire, but it can end up being problematic. Like, there's a grounded basis for some things, so you don't always know how that's going to work out. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes the character, like, if they're inserting themselves into another role, can have it work, but it's kind of an iffy thing.
So no, there will be a Chaotic reboot eventually, and it might be on Peacock, just to know. Why is Chaotic even a thing? I still don't get why they keep trying to make that a thing.
Oh yeah, those guys.
For those who don't know, Chaotic was a, tablet AR game, basically cards and interaction with a TV show. It was kind of dumb, and 4Kids was a front runner for it.
I remember them pushing that hard, and I was not
so hard.
Like, I was not interested in the slightest. They were trying to like push it more than Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'm like, but Yu-Gi-Oh, you know what I mean? Like you go up against the king, and this is what you present to us. Bah, away with you.
Yeah. Very dislike towards anime compilation movies. What about the Madoka Magica ones and cartoon ones from the late 70s and 80s, the Bugs Bunny ones?
Oh wow.
Okay,
the fact that you know about the Bugs Bunny ones, like that's pretty cool.
Okay, the Bugs Bunny, or really the Looney Tunes compilation movies, are one of my exceptions to the compilation movie rule, simply because they added a narrative. For one, they added a narrative interconnecting the shorts, and those were simply to put the shorts on a distributable home media form. So I'm not against those. I actually like those, but that's because the Looney Tunes shorts are not originally a constructed narrative outside of them, whereas normal compilation movies are shortening of a narrative, and what they often cut out was important for telling the whole story. The Looney Tunes ones don't have that problem for the most part. The Madoka Magica ones, they kind of fit because they're only slight shortenings of the full story, and then have the Rebellion sequel, so it's not the same type of hypercondensation that most compilation movies suffer. Like, if you're putting 26 episodes into a 2-hour movie, that's too much.
Right, but like Madoka Magica was like 13 episodes or 12, so
yeah.
Like that, you know, a compilation movies of those amount of episodes, that makes sense. For me, like with compilation movies, it's they try to supersede the TV canon. Like, this is just my personal thing, but I prefer TV canon over movie canon, with some exceptions. So, like with the original Gundam, 0079, I prefer the TV version of events versus anything that the movies try to do, because that was like as they intended.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Whereas the Madoka Magica movies, with Rebellion, it's cross-compatible. You can set it after the TV show, or you can set it after the condensation with the movies. Code Geass Lucia of the Resurrection is the opposite of that, in that it's intended to be only compatible with the movie timeline. And that's part of what fucks it up.
So I'm hanging on this because this is a funny joke. Which part of my story do you want to hear, bro? The Waffle Kingdom letter. So, like I said, it's a really long story, but here goes. Left behind as usual, I was cooking a snack at home when another letter arrived. We don't get much mail, so I was thinking, huh? That is what the letter said. Sirs, my name is Crip. I am a cabinet minister in the far-off Waffle Kingdom. Look, they're falling asleep. Our land has been attacked by the Chestnut King, who took our Princess Eclair. I ask, hey, beg for your assistance. The Waffle Kingdom really needs your skills. They couldn't even bother to stay awake for their brother's story.
Mech82, I was thinking of getting my first MG, but Netstore from where I buy those only has MG Aegis Gundam left, and I feel that Transforming Gundam isn't a good pick to be first MG. That's actually very fair. The Aegis Gundam is one of the better transforming kits, but it's not good for a first one.
Right, my first Master Grade that I ever built was actually the Master Grade Tall Piece.
It's been a while, but my first Master Grade was the original MG Wing Zero, which...
That was also... Wait, the original?
The original MG Wing Zero.
Dang.
Yeah. And then I think my second major Master Grade was the Turn A. And then I got the Strike Freedom, Destiny, Justice, and... forgetting what other one I got from the Seed releases back then that completed that quartet, because I know it was a quartet. Oh, Force Impulse. Yeah, those were the next 4 Master Grades I got at the same time. Then I got Exia, and then the collection kind of slowly exploded. How do you think Mikazuki and his Barbados would do in a fight against the other Gundam Protags? He'd crush most of the Universal Century crew, lose to Strike Freedom, lose to the Double O mechs just in general. Like, you gotta remember that it's not just the, beam effects from the Double O mechs, but their, structures are also strengthened by the GN particles. He would not survive against Wing Zero. Like, taking a direct hit from that Buster Rifle would stress even, the particle protection the Barbados has. It's kind of a recurring thing that just because they're, just because it has protection against beam weapons doesn't mean it's absolute. Lose against the Double X, lose against the Turn A. It's like, you gotta have very specific conditions for the Barbados, as nice as it is, to actually be able to win against stuff.
Like, it's a case of, like, if the Barbados is going up against, like, your average grunt suit, or, like, any mobile suit that doesn't come with, like, the fancy bells and whistles that you're accustomed to, like...
like, it loses against the Unicorn as well, but that's because Unicorn has plot powers.
Like, you gotta remember, like, the Barbados is cool because of the specific, like, conditions that it exists in, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Not to say it can't end up in really cool fights, but it's very specific conditions versus the others.
Yep. I need to go next, because I mean, I know where...
Yeah, any interest in Go Rush? Not really. For Lexus, since it's Arknights related, they've apparently been watching your stuff about that. Favorite operators, and which operator are you hoping to get in the future?
Oh, there's so many good operators. Blaze is awesome. She has blood fire powers.
Blood fire powers?
Well, basically, she can superheat her blood to the point that it's, you know, boiling hot. And she has a chainsaw.
You know that's what killed Shishio Makoto in,
oh, yeah, I remember that.
Rurouni Kenshin?
Yeah,
Makoto,
yeah,
Shishio? Yeah.
Yeah, Blaze, Lapland, Hoshiguma, Ken, Rosemonte, she's my baby girl,
Yeah, I have no idea what she's talking about because I don't do mobile games.
It's a long story. I'll talk your ear off later if you ever want me to. But
yeah.
But basically, in the world of Arknights, there's this mineral called Originium, I believe, if that's the pronounce. That at first everybody was like, "Hey, this is super cool, right? This is powering all of our electricity and all that stuff, right?" But then everybody quickly realized, oh crap, this thing is actually highly infectious. Right? Like as in, it's almost like getting cold poisoning. You know what I mean? But yeah, like when people get infected with Originium, sometimes it leads to debilitating injuries. Other times it helps awaken like special abilities.
You know, DJ Toku asked if we had seen the anime Last Hope or Yuta Pandora from Shoji Kawamori. I have not. I just looked it up and I kind of see why I wouldn't be engaged with that because that's a thing. Oh, I see why they're suggesting it, because it might be a candidate for future Super Robot Wars games. Basically, I still think that's kind of a confusing line. A quantum reactor? Like, you guys do know what quantum is, right? It's space-time. Space-time reactor? Really? Quantum physics. Very... Ugh. Okay, no. Has a chain reaction that destroyed civilization, spurred rapid evolutionary progress that turned most animals into biomechanical creatures. Yeah, that's...
Oh, look this little guy. You come to eat me?
One of your favorite MCU films/shows? That's a good question. Obviously I like the Iron Man with Tony Stark's actual character arc, I even like the third movie. Avengers 1 is still a good movie. Thor Ragnarok is awesome.
I'm a fan of the Captain America movie. Like, I know the Captain America movies, like, they can get polarizing as they went on, but I don't know, it just, what I love about Steve Rogers as a character on a good day is that, like, he's like what America. Okay, it's hard not to get political with Captain America, but basically, he's like,
it has decent political commentary, yes.
Right, and like he's essentially like the goodest soul, like an honest person that like wants to do good in the world and help out, trying to struggle against like the cynical reality of things. Does it make any sense? Like, like in Captain America: Winter Soldier, he's trying to be a good man, but there are forces in the government that like are absolutely evil.
Plus, he's a man at a time.
Right, like he was a man at a time when like America thought they could kick ass and chew bubble gum. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think though, even Thor: The Dark World has had some reconsideration to it as a bad movie due to its expansion of the Loki series, but unfortunately we never got to any of the MCU TV shows. I saw a few episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and just didn't think very much of it, which I think is the general opinion on that.
Yeah. But yeah, so this little guy he's like separated from his friends in the Bogley Woods, and some weird guys that was taking over their great tree.
Ogenix, why is it that everyone hates that Gundam 00 introduced aliens, but everyone is okay with the UC people's dead souls become angelic magical energy for psycho frames? I have no idea. It's like
that's a good point. It's like
the supernatural is there, and you're more likely to encounter aliens than ghosts at this point, or at least have actual ghost manifestations and espers and psychic powers. Granted, I swear I'm psychic sometimes with how I predict stuff, but most of the time I'm just reading common trends and seeing the writing on the wall with that. Would Blue Gender work along with second half Get a Robo Armageddon in a Super Robot Wars game?
I've never seen Blue Gender. I'm sorry, guys.
I have not seen Blue Gender either, but there have been Super Robot Wars games that have adapted the second half of Get a Robo Armageddon. It was featured in Z of all things.
And like, I really hope though that the next Robot Wars game features Getter Arc, because I feel like for us to really appreciate a franchise, if they're in a game like 3 times in a row, then you may need to, like, shelve it for a little bit, you know what I mean?
Like they ended up doing with Mike Gine. Yeah, Getter being in the next game is kind of going to be a problem if they don't bring anything new to the table, because they were basically non-existent characters in 30, just to get more out of the true Shin Dragon.
Yep. The Great Bogley Tree.
Then the anniversary, and they need Getter, Mazinger, and Gundam together for that.
Which, I mean, okay, fair, but, I mean, you know, like, if you're gonna include these characters, can't you, like, actually
do something with them?
Right, because, let's not mince words here. The fact that, like, Musashi's alive in Robot Wars 30, and it's kind of just brushed aside, and you would only know that if you played, like, a side mission.
Or if you actually knew who the character was.
Right, and the fact that he's in his own pilot, and he's piloting a Getter 2 or Getter 3, and it's like, I want to do that.
Yeah, could we do that? Would Gundam X fit in with Getter Robo Armageddon? Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure that's been done in a Super Robot Wars game, but it's the same kind of post-apocalypse setting. It works for that.
Oh, by the way,
what are your Xenoblade 2 Beyblades? I like the pun there, considering there's been a discussion of Beyblade in the...
Mithra and Pyra.
Mithra and Pyra.
Like, I'm sorry, it's just, like, after going through Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like, okay, first off, I'm already a sucker for, like, the Ice Queen archetype, you know, like, cold on the surface at first, but they're actually, like, really kind and tsundere.
Soon!
But Mithra has, like, such a complete character journey, like, when you consider not only the entirety of Chronicles 2, but the DLC, the Torna of the Golden Country.
Which is also really good, and I hate that the physical copies of it are basically non-existent.
Yeah. Bad things happen all the time, Vivian, but you're right about her. Back on point, it's like, I really felt for her character, and, like, I can't say anything more without spoilers, because there was a very few games where I'm like,
you need to go in blind.
Yeah, you need to go in blind, play it, you'll understand. Like, and then, like, once you play Xenoblade Chronicles and Chronicles 2, then it's like, now you understand. Yeah.
Yeah. HJ5's honestly the absolute lowest thing, even remotely connected to the MCU, is the Inhumans movie.
Oh,
and yeah, I can't deny that. Would Gundam Mech... already answered that one. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has several great highs, but just as many awful lows, especially the first 2 seasons. Yeah.
Also, look at this. I like this girl, Vivian. Isn't it a gorgeous necklace? It was so lovely, I just had to pick it up.
Terror of Death wants Escaflowne new Super Robot Wars Gundam game. Why was it not an X?
Right! Like, it's the Fantasy Isekai series.
I'm gonna go off on this, but the problem with Super Robot Wars X is it's an Isekai story that doesn't actually include Isekai anime, bar, like, 1 or 2.
Right, the only 2 Isekai series in X is...
Mashinuro Wataru and Aura Battler Downbind.
Right, and those 2 make a lot of absolute sense. And, okay, to an extent, Cross-Age, since...
Technically, but its story is different, taking a different angle than the standard Isekai.
But the point is, like, the thing with X is you're translating series that shouldn't be Isekai, and then you're making them Isekai. Which...
Like, if they remove the Universal Century stuff, they could have definitely done Escaflowne and Ray Earth in there instead. Still had the Code Geass stuff, still had the Gurren Lagann stuff, but they put too many series into the Isekai that it made them immaterial. I've actually been working on the script for that in bits and pieces. If Takara was an issue, could Transformers work in a crossover with Super Robot Wars? I think that it kind of overblow everything because Transformers are just so big, but considering Transformers have had so many media franchise crossovers work just fine, it's definitely doable. Thoughts on Ren Tao from Shaman King? He's interesting. He definitely has a distinct character arc. I liked the retrieval arc for him, which I think a few other characters afterwards were really insistent on repeating in their own ways. The thing with who's the white-haired guy in Hunter x Hunter?
Oh, Killua?
Killua, yeah. Didn't they have an arc where they had to rescue him from his family too?
Yeah. Well, it's funny with Killua. They went to go rescue him because they thought he was in trouble.
Rescue.
Yeah, but then it turns out that his family just kind of let him go because, like, his dad's kind of cool like that. In a weird manipulative way. But it's one of those, we're here to save you. I didn't need saving. Even though, like, you know, it was cool.
Are there tsunderes you don't like? Whenever I hear this, my brain goes to Love Hina. Yeah, there's an actual thing about, the tsundere thing, is that a lot of characters that are classified as tsunderes are not actually tsunderes, they're violent bitches. And this is me actually using a insultive term for this. Nara from Love Hina is definitely one. Akane Tendo is applicable. A bunch of Shana clones in the late 2000s where they're more violent than, like, balanced. There is a proper balance for tsunderes and their responses. Like, if they're angry and attacking, everybody, it's not good. If there are special conditions for when they attack a character, that's fine. Or I shouldn't say attack, get angry. Mikoto Misaka is one that constantly is mischaracterized as a violent psychopath, but actually isn't, because she just has specific triggers, and unfortunately Toma, early in Sword and Magical Index's story, keeps tripping them. But if you actually stuck around the story, you find that she is like that to him less and less over time. Like, it's a character development thing. If they have no active signed character development, if the story reaches its ending and they're basically the same as they started, then they're more applicable for the violent bitch category of not tsundere than actually being a tsundere. Because being a tsundere is all about character insecurities and people that dredge them up because of the affections they might have towards them. Because, you know, you're insecure about someone you're crushing on because you don't know if they'll accept you and whatnot. And that ends up being part of a larger arc for them to accept themselves, to accept others. And that's the kind of thing I like about the tsundere tropes. But if they're not doing that stuff, then they don't work as a tsundere. At least the Shauna clones have the same VA, hence the tsundere queen. Yeah, again, the Shauna clone stuff happens to the point that they're not actually tsunderes anymore. Rie Kugamiya, I believe her name is, and it's like, she straddles the line between being characterizing them as terrible people and characterize them as tsunderes. If she goes too far, they're no longer tsunderes. Or rather, if the material that's being adapted where she's voicing the character takes things too far, then they stop being tsunderes. The Familiar of Zero is another example where the anime adaptation took them too far. Now, that wasn't from the original material, that was the way in which it was adapted. Kind of unrelated, but would Catcher from the She-Ra reboot count as a tsundere?
Yes.
From what I know of the reboot, yes. But because the key there, again, is developmental arc. If they don't have a developmental arc, or they act worse and worse over time, then they less and less can be described as a tsundere.
Okay, by the way, back on the game for a little bit, can you look at this art style here?
Oh, so many dots.
Yeah, but, like, I just love, like, how each location in this game, like...
It doesn't seem like a map pattern at all.
Yeah, like, look at that.
That looks hand-drawn.
The great tree. And somebody stuck a metal door on it.
Also in the Gundam 00 manga that fills in a lot of the workings of Celestial Being. The side story manga are good. The ones that readapt the series, not so much, because they miss the point of some stuff. Like, the ones that are prequels and side stories to the main stuff, those are the ones I'm talking about. Those are the ones that are good. Those are the ones done by Tomohiro Chiba, aka the one behind the Gundam Seed Astray side stories that people also like. Regarding Eureka 7, I'm kind of scared if the series comes back in Super Robot Wars, as they'll either use AO or movies, as the latter people hate with the revelations inside of them. Oh, yeah, I am not engaged with Eureka 7 at all, like, so...
All you need to know, Davis, is that Eureka 7, the original show, it's a decent time from what I heard, but the sequels, things go off the rails in, like, the worst way possible. Like, how did you mess this up this badly? You kind of...
Have you guys done the challenge mode for the two Xenoblade games? If you haven't and want to, I recommend Enel, because he's worked out every bit of math needed to hit the damage caps. Did you do the challenge mode?
No, I didn't.
Okay, yeah, we've not gotten to that. And we've not gotten to the first Xenoblade because we are also going to be playing Xenosaga. Basically, we've been approaching the Xeno series as back and forth. Like, I did Xenogears first and recorded footage for that. Then Alexis played Xenoblade 2. Then we're going to do the Xenosaga games. And then we're going to do Xenoblade 1 before Xenoblade 3 releases this fall.
And also Xenoblade 3 hype. Like, holy... Like,
yeah, we were not expecting that.
Like, but I am so happy to finally get into a franchise when a new game is released because... Oof. It's so good. Yeah,
I'm just glad we, for the most part, completed Xenoblade Chronicles 2 when we were sick with COVID, because otherwise that could have stretched out for a while, considering everything else going on. Though we still need to get Cosmos. Cosmos? I still have no idea how to pronounce her name. Well, cats are tsunderes by nature.
I like cats.
Wasn't Black Bolt's actor considered for another superhero thing, or am I misremembering? No idea. HA5 replies he was in recent Star Trek stuff, and Injustice and Batman. I did not see I did not see that entire mess, so...
What happened?
They're discussing something about the actor who played Black Bolt in, the Inhuman series, and I have no context to any of this. Trying to scroll through and make the chat and make sure I'm not missing so much because it's not exactly on the streaming stuff right now. What about Xenoblade Chronicles X? What about Xenoblade Chronicles X?
It exists.
Look, I have the game, and Alexis has a Wii U, so we can play it, and we actually found the hardcover version of the guidebook, which, it's a thick boy, when we were out on one of our media hunts, so there are plans to do it, but not necessarily this year. I honestly think that if, Monolith Soft wants people to play it, that much like the original Xenoblade Chronicles, they need to get it released on the Wii, on the Switch. Honestly, I also want them to do a compilation game of Xenosaga, simply because I've heard really good things about Xenosaga, and from the little bit of I played when I was in high school, when a friend brought it over, I want to experience the full thing from the start. Which of the Gundam Build anime do you like the most? Build Fighters and Build Divers Re-Rise. I also liked Try, but not as much as the original Build Fighters. I guess it's a problem of too soon together, considering they aired basically back-to-back to each other. I think there would be more appreciation had they let the concept rest for like a year so they could better develop things around it, but I don't hate Fighters. Either Fighters series.
Build Fighters, I think the first series is like a very good anime. Like, yes, it's a bit tropey at times, but that doesn't make it a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Did you think Super Robot Wars 30 did the Gundam Victory story better? Yes, but better doesn't necessarily mean good. Like, the thing about the Super Robot Wars games, as I've said, is they're not going to radically change things aside from the story amalgamation, but their integration can only with other series can only fix so much of a bad series. I'm surprised we haven't gotten more Die Buster in Super Robot Wars, though I thought I could be misremember the entries it was in despite Z. I think the Z games were the ones where they really only got the feature. I could be mistaken on that, but considering Die Buster came out in the mid-2000s, and Z was the game series where most of the 2000s content got their time to shine, it makes sense that Z is the only one to really have it.
And besides, with something like Die Buster and Gunbuster, I feel like you can't just like throw them in there haphazardly. Like, you kind of need to have like a big enough story to justify their presence.
Yeah. Desmond Malone personally wishes they would remake Xenogear. Here's the problem with that. Xenogears is owned by Square Enix, and the people behind the rest of the Xeno series, they left Square with cause because of a bunch of crap Square Soft, the preceding company to Square Enix, was doing that pissed them off. So they just rebooted the IP as Xenosaga and then Xenoblade. So there's likely never going to be a remake because of the complete dissociated ownership towards it. Xenoblade X suffered the same fate as Saga, with the final game only really being about 33% of what Takahashi wanted to make it. I don't think that's right from the interviews I've been reading. It's like he had this grand plan for a much longer game series. I think he really wanted Xenosaga to be 6 parts. but in development of the story, they found like they could do it with far less. I might be missing more interviews, but that's what I've been reading about it. Same thing with Xenogears, in that it was part 5 of a 6-part saga, but they had no plans up front for the rest of things, thus why kind of got rebooted. What do you think of the orbital frames from Zone of the Enders are designed the way they are? Like, the design just so they had to know the joke that would ensue. Primarily because the cockpit, yes, the joke, is not, I think, how should I phrase this? The mechs are designed that way so the cockpits could have a clear ejection system. Like, a lot of mechs that have ejection systems, there's no reasonable explanation to how they eject from the mech. Because, like, okay, take Mobile Suit Gundam, for example. The entire pilot system allows for the ejection of the core fighter, but the core fighter makes up a large part of the primary torso. So if you're being attacked by an enemy, they're obviously going to go to the torso. And if you try to eject that way, then the entire core fighter that you eject with is going to get hit. This was only truly resolved in the design of the Impulse, where the core Splendor ejectable fighter is mounted towards the back. Okay, I shouldn't say the Impulse Gundam was the first of them. The core landers in G Gundam were also a legitimate utilization of this, because if you're going to be attacked from behind in any of those cases, you're dead anyways. So, or you can at least be ejected out the front of the mech that way. Whereas if you're being attacked from the front, eject the core lander, you're fine. The core Splendor in See, Destiny took that same conceptual idea and went around with it that way. Same with the, I'm forgetting their names. The Gade series of enemy mechs in Gundam 00. They eject the same way, from the rear. But they could still be screwed over by their ejection system being messed up. So, having it as a separate piece of the mech that's mounted at a point where a lot of pilots are not going to attack at that angle, it makes more sense.
So, story stuff. We need help from this lady who's like hiding behind this door, but she doesn't want to come outside without her favorite necklace. But luckily we know where her necklace is. You can do it, right, Mario? Sure, or eh.
Light ball mouse.
Yep. His name's Punio.
DJ Toku prefers how the arcade Gundam does the escape pod thing. That's the kind of thing I was describing with the Gade series mechs. Yeah.
Look at that. They're like, wait a minute.
Is that a box or
No, it's a poster. They're like,
poster.
This Mario guy looks like so manly. Check out that bushy mustache. How handsome.
It's just the way they're around it. It kind of looks like that one character sitting on a box.
Yeah. You know something though, my lilies? I swear I've seen this gentleman before. Ah, he's Mr. Mustache.
Even the Xeon from the 0079 series kind of but not fully got it right with the cockpit house and the head unit. Yeah, those actually make the most sense to work. I like head ejection systems. The Suzabi also did the same thing.
Also, like, these two people, like, witches are, like, blaming Vivian for their mistake.
Aww.
I'll be dealing out some strict punishment later, my dearie. Oh, yes, I promise you that. Aww. You're the one who had the...
I'm reminded of the three sisters from Banjo-Tooie.
Silence, you squirrel brain. Don't you cop that insolent attitude with me.
Speaking of Zone of the Enders, will you ever review the Zone of the Enders anime/OVA and the Tactics game released on the Game Boy Advance? I've never found a copy of the Tactics GBA game. I do own the OVA and anime. I honestly have to... I have not watched Dolores I in... God, 20 years. I think since I got the original sets, or when we first watched it in the anime club I was in high school. Oh god, that was 20 years ago.
We're old.
I'm old. Do you think that Moon Gundam should get an adaptation?
Wait, what about adaptation? What?
Moon Gundam.
Oh, Moon Gundam?
Moon Gundam mooning the moon. I would not mind as an OVA. I think some of the shorter Gundam manga should get, like, OVA compilations. Not compilation movies, but, you know, do it as an anthology OVA series.
Yeah, because, like, here's the thing. There's a lot of Gundam Universal Century stories that I've heard about where, like, this would make good for a full series, but if this was, like, say, like a short OVA, then yeah, it would totally work. You know what I mean?
Like, think if Gundam Evolve was an actual series instead of vignettes.
Because I feel like I look at the Universal Century as if it was like World War II era, like, documentary stuff, you know what I mean? Where, like, sure, you can look at the greater picture, but if you look at individual battles, then things can get kind of interesting, you know what I mean?
I honestly think, much like Gundam Seed, that Tomino took initial inspiration for some of the things from Star Wars. Like, it's pretty obvious Seed took more inspiration from the full, dual movie trilogies, but, you know, from initial ideas of what the first film did, that's more Tomino's angle, like a documentary war story, and then things expanded and spitballed from there, where Seed kind of looked back on it with a bunch of different sci-fi tropes. So, same materials, but different angles of attack. What's your favorite mass production MS? I'm fond of the Murasames from Seed Destiny. The Murasames are actually really good. It's kind of hard to top a mass production equivalent to the Zeta Gundam. I really like the Goof Custom from 8th MS Team. Like, that thing is a badass.
Oh yeah, like, everybody loves the Goof Troop.
This is Nozaku, kid. Nozaku. Yeah, the original 3 mass production units with the Zaku, the Goof, and the Dom, those are all pretty solid. Actually have trouble remembering a lot of mass production units. Most of the Oz mass production units in Gundam Wing are just their own brands of iconic. Like the Leo, the Taurus, the Ares. All of them have a distinctly different aesthetic that it makes them memorable. Mass productions in Seed, I kind of think they are half and half weakness and strength, because you can kind of, mash together the Jin, the Din, the Gways, and the Kagoo and not have a lot of awareness that they're different. Though I like the Bakus and Lagos from that series because they're quadrupedal mechs in a primarily bipedal mech franchise. So they stick out like sore thumbs, and that makes them appealing. Would Robotnik/Eggman's Eggmobile be considered a decent cockpit ejection unit? Kind of, yeah, but he builds the way they eject from their larger bodies, so they're easily swappable. I'm looking forward to the Sonic sequel too, so just to preempt anyone asking about Sonic on that. If Knights of Magic comes back in Super Robo Wars, I wish they'd hold off until more of light novel stuff comes, so it's not stuck with the Kush Perchin arc.
Actually, funny story, the light novel Knights of Magic is ending.
Yeah, they're almost done, so probably one last time skip or something. But they could reasonably do a second or third season if they want to do more adaptation fodder. Gregory Sling is playing V and is torn between getting Black Guy or going through Anja's story. Which do you recommend doing first in the route split? Honestly, you can do both. Like, you can legitimately do one, save before the route split, do one, and then go back and do the other. That's how I recorded the footage. So, you know, if you know the story for one, that's fine. There's actually, Akuratsu, A-K-U-R-A-S-U. They're a website that kind of acts as a guidepost for all the recruitable flags, which I'm pretty sure the black, Mike Gine flag triggers if you just defeat enough units with the Mike Gine cast, so you don't need to worry so much about the route splitting. Terror of Death still wants Gundam Sentinel and a Call Duke Seal. I don't remember much about a Call Duke Seal, but I remember Sentinel having some kind of rights litigation issue related to it that makes it not primed for adaptation fodder, and most more recent UC material have tried to forget that it's a thing. I'm still waiting for the high grade After Colony Tauros with the same modern grunt high grade build system. I know, right? I want model kits of the Tauros and Virgo, just straight up, flat out. Holy cow, I thought you weren't uploading this year. I said I was doing few videos this year. I didn't say we weren't doing streaming. Streaming is basically no major... like, it's us talking for 2 or 3 hours while we play a game. That's different from literal days of work to put out a scripted video.
Who are you anyway? Those who seek names are often disappointed, but if you insist, we will tell you.
Like, I can't actually film on my set right now because we're getting our windows replaced, and I've completely disassembled my entire library so they can get access to the windows when they come in with the replacement windows.
Yep. We are the 3 Shadow Beauties! 3 Shadow Beauties? Vivian, you nincompoop! What are you babbling about? It's the Shadow Sirens! I don't see 3 beauties, I see 2, but then there's you and your plug ugly. Aww.
I mean, Cotton Candy Pink doesn't exactly go well with Shadow Purple, but that's no reason to be that mean.
Yeah, but look at her cute hat, though.
Heh, DJ Toku. First time I saw Baku and Seed, my exact thought said aloud was, who let a Zoid in here? I mean, I'm not wrong, I do love the designs for Zoids.
So are you saying who let the Zoids out?
Never open the door for her.
I'm like a pun vampire. Like, you just open the door and I just walk right in. So open the door, get on the floor, and then everybody walk the dinosaur.
What are your thoughts on Digimon 2020 and it's getting a dub? We heard about the dub. Adventure 2020 is one of those where I don't think they had an actual plan, but at least with how they traveled around, it felt like an actual adventure. At least everybody got their mega forms eventually, which is definitely something the original series didn't, and most of its sequels didn't exactly allow until fucking try. Till then, less said about trying Kizuna, the better. So, it was not for me. I did not engage with it. That doesn't mean that others could not have fun with it. Like, there's a point where you just have to accept that something may not be bad, it just might not be for you. Other than Gunmax and other series mentioned, you two mentioned earlier, what are other series you want to return in Super Robot Wars? For me, I'd like to see Big O, Overman King Gainer, and Gravion.
Oh, King Gainer, that'd be awesome.
I don't know much about King Gainer, but I would not be opposed.
I think it's pronounced Gainer, like, you know...
It might be, but I try and go by Japanese pronunciation most of the time of that.
Like, in the actual opening songs,
Did they say Gainer in there?
Yeah, King Gainer.
Okay, so I'm wrong on that. Yeah, I listed off most of the ones I'd like to see have a major return because I'm big on them. Gravion, I should say, fell back into, but that was just me picking up the DVDs because rare items and whatnot. I actually need to show them the show, if only for one specific thing. And I'm not going to say what it is. Some of you would already guess what it is.
Wait, what show?
Gravion. It's a 2000s Studio Gonzo and Masami Obari show. I've actually got the Moderoid for it that just went on pre-order, so I'm looking forward to that when it releases at the end of the year. Favorite commander unit in the Gundam franchise? I'm not quite sure what you're categorizing as a commander unit, so I'm assuming mass production command units, or is it like a Char type with his red variants of mass production units? I'm not sure how you're categorizing that. Is it possible for them to add Astro Boy and the OG Tetsujin 28? I think Tetsujin might have been in a Super Robot Wars game, but I don't think Astro Boy has been.
I mean, if Extra 1 got it,
I mean, some people joke that Tetsujin 28 is the only mech that's not part of the amalgamation that is Mazinger Zero, so it'd be funny if we actually had a game with Mazinger Zero and Tetsujin 28 in it. Yeah, and like it did something to paralyze every other mech around them because of the metal fictional awareness, and then Tetsujin's the only thing that can fight it.
Like, I would actually really like that because, I mean, Mazinger is usually credited as, like, the starter of the super robot genre, but if you really think of it, just by, you know, pure history standards, Tetsujin came first, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and there were other, like, one-off remote-controlled robots in comics and cartoon stories before that. I remember the black and white Superman cartoon, when Cartoon Network actually aired episodes of that, fighting a robot a few times, and not a non-piloted robot at that, so... But it's definitely, Mazinger is the start of general piloted super robots. It was Shin Tetsujin 28 that was featured. Okay, yeah, so it was, but it wasn't. Heard a lot about Zero True Heroes of Mobile Suit Gundam. This confused me as well. The Federation are bad. It's not like Zeon ain't much better. At least to me, both are horrible. I think it's there's a confusion between the leadership of Zeon being bad, but the people, the military that are the actual military officers and soldiers, part of Zeon, are fighting for noble causes. So, there's definitely that failure to distinguish the two inside the Gundam narrative, where they're fighting for the wrong people, but for the right cause, whereas Federation is generally to oppress and to control, and the soldiers on that side are generally in on it. Thoughts on Kamen of Revice? We have said before that we're not engaging with Revice due to us not liking the gimmick, not liking the storytelling, and one of the primary actors of it being openly racist. We don't judge anyone for enjoying the show, but please don't bring it to us here.
And if that was that a new kind of cover, like asking about that?
Wiz of Wonders has apparently not seen any of our previous streams on the subject.
Okay, so if that's the case, then like they didn't know.
Yeah, which is why I'm trying to be polite about it.
And the time I remember when I used to be able to get the timing for all like the button presses in this game, but. So, tell me, David, how do you smash a cloud with a hammer?
Very carefully. But if they add Sentai to Super Robot Wars, would they have to change the character of Power Ranger? No, why would they? Super Sentai is a distinct franchise. The Power Ranger just adapts.
Like, the only, like, I still remember when Chroma Squad was a thing, and, like, Saban, like, lost their goddamn minds over it when it was clearly...
It was clearly a fan setup game, but the problem with, like, Hasbro trying to claim ownership over Power Rangers is Bandai owns the brand rights. They still own the brand rights. Hasbro licensed the rights to Sentai in the same way that every other Power Rangers series has had to license the stuff. So if they piss off Bandai, they don't have that anymore. Plus, with all the Super Robot Wars games primarily being Asian English releases, first and foremost, it's not like Hasbro International can exactly play hardball, especially due to Hasbro's biggest cash cow being a cross-ownership thing with Takara. It's like they know not to poke the bear. Saban never learned this.
Oh, by the way, is everybody enjoying the game so far?
Do you think Gundam lore channels like Kakarot or Gamore add merit to the community? I mean, from what I've seen of Kakarot's videos, he's overall neutral on opinions with regards to series, so I would say yes. I have not heard of Gamore, so I can't pass judgment on them, but from what I've seen of Kakarot stuff, Kakarot 198
or something?
198, it's a string of numbers that I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but yeah, I like that guy.
Okay, so look at this. But you still mustn't see me. Please leave the necklace by the door and wait a moment. Moment of silence.
Disco died 40 years ago!
This is Madame Flurry.
Because... Cloud.
Aren't you a fine specimen of a man?
Heh, that's a funny idea. DJ Toku would like Shinji Kari's surrogate dad in Super Wars games to be Andrew Waldfeld, if only for Shinji to become a caffeine nut. I mean, he has trouble sleeping in the first place, so I think coffee wouldn't exactly harm him, only exasperate the issue.
That would be funny, like, Shinji, you know what you need? You need a nice cup of Dark Joe.
JX Demon is asking if .xg is a good starting point for someone wanting to experience the series. I still say .x site is the best entry point for people to start from the beginning, but due to the IMOC video games being inaccessible, trying to engage with the entire first season of the storyline is a bit more difficult than it would be for others. GU acts as its own isolated story. You get the Last Recode game includes a lore primer of everything involved with Sign, the IMOC games, and its aftermath. And if you get the special edition of the story, there is in fact a new manga that fills in all the blanks with regards to Haseo's backstory as a previous player. So, yes, GU Last Recode Switch Edition can serve as a good entry point as long as you get all the supplementary material. Problem is, Bandai kind of fucked up with the supplementary material thing, in that they're only releasing the physical Switch version of the game with all that special material on through their website.
So by the way, Flurry's whole thing is that she blows.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Wiz of Wonders, I'm going to reiterate this. We don't do Toku stuff anymore. Please stop asking us Toku questions. We did not... Okay, Alexis watched a few episodes of Zenkaiger, but otherwise, because it's a Shinichiro Shirakura production, we did not engage with it. It was not good. In fact, according to people who have actual sources on the matter, it was the worst rated and worst selling Sentai series ever, even though it was intended to revitalize the series, because this is what Shinichiro Shirakura does. Everything he touches dies. Please disengage on that matter.
So yeah, I'm just following the RPG strategy of kill everything that moves.
You would be terrible at Undertale.
Oh no, you see, there's a pacifist run. Like, here's the thing: if I have the option to not kill, I will not kill. But but sometimes violence is necessary.
Alexis, that was the joke.
Oh. Sometimes it's hard to tell with you. What if we're all just...
It's the deadpan delivery.
Yeah. Deadpan pizza? That's C2's new menu item for a restaurant. Deadpan pizza.
Pizza gremlin.
It's like, wait, is the pizza any good? I don't know.
What do you think a dot game made in these times would be like? I unfortunately would want to say the Sword Art Online games. The makers of the Sword Art Online games apparently took immense inspiration from dot hack games for how they've executed those. I've read an interview about that was the entire basis, and they have been trying to treat those SAO games as the modern day dot hack. It's kind of hindered because it's Sword Art Online, but at least the game producer had an idea of what a good template to use to go forward with that. Otherwise, I'd say maybe the Tales of games means of executing an action RPG system.
We got an email.
Well, things that W would have liked. For DJ Token example, getting the twins' proper Irish accents. Hearing them scream at Allie in an Irish brogue would be funny as hell. Kinda, yeah, but I don't kind of diss on those kind of actor things. Like, the cast they had did a good job for what they had. What are your thoughts on Mazakaiser SKL?
Stupid freaking Skull Pilots!
The English dub is hilarious. It also features Erin Fitzgerald in one of her earlier roles, so like, there's that.
Okay, here's the thing. I don't think... SKL, I think, is bad. Not in the... It's not entertaining, kind of. Like, it's super entertaining. Like, it's, like...
It's hilarity bad.
Like, it's hilarity bad. Like, it's a case of there is clearly more of a story here that could have been a full series, but they don't dwell on it. And what story is there is like one of those things just happen, and it's like a heavy metal fever dream. But I think it's worth it just to see the actual Mazakaiser Skull unit like kick ass, because that thing is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like, come on, it has like it pulls like its handguns from the chest plate, and those guns have like blades on them. You know what I mean?
And then sword rifle scythe.
Right, like it's awesome. It's just it's great.
What are your thoughts on the Digimon Ghost game? Again, not engaging with anything Toei is doing. I've heard good things about Ghost Game. I've heard that the production has been extremely messy, but they're kind of sorting it out, but they didn't expect to have the fanfare it did from actually exploring the spooky stuff, because Toei has dealt with spooky stuff absolutely horribly for a long time, because they avoid the horror and dark side elements, or deliberate horror and dark side elements of their stuff for a long time. Basically, they've neutered a lot of them, and Ghost Game not neutering their stuff has been interesting.
There has been an exception to that. Gegege no Kitaro, the more recent adaptation, that was done by Toei.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying in general, not an absolution. Like, the stuff that used to have horror and darker elements only have them by accident or by fridge logic when it used to be something natural to them. I need to play One Piece Romance Dawn. In my opinion, I like the turn-based system if its fun was so limited. I have not played the Romance Dawn game. I have World Seeker, but we didn't actually play much of that either.
Oh snap, we got bad guys.
Give us the thingamabob.
Who are you guys? How did you get in here? Whoa, dude, is that Mario guy?
No, that's Wario.
What? He is? We better get him then. But dude, Lord Crump told us to tell him immediately if we found Mario, remember? Yo, idiot, use your head. If we capture him, we'll get all the credit, man. Duh!
Has Master Duel been a pain to play, even with the F2P elements? Oh god fucking yes. If you've not seen my Twitter threads about it, the game's RNG system is absolute garbage. I build good decks, but every hand I have in ranked is bricked, or otherwise unable to do anything because my opponent got the most perfect hand imaginable every fucking time. I can win just fine in solo. I can win just fine if I'm doing competitive if I'm out dueling outside of ranked, but trying to win in ranked is impossible, not because my decks are bad, but because the RNG screws me every fucking time. And because it's so difficult to actually get cards unless you win and get gems, you can't get the cards you need to cannibalize into other cards, or just buy packs in general because you just don't get rares. I'm at a state in the game where I can't change my deck because what I could change it to, I can't convert the cards into the new cards I need for those decks. So I'm stuck with something that can't win and I can't really play. If they allowed for more gems to purchase packs for cards inside the game without it requiring you to pay real-world money, the game would probably be better than it is. But right now, you can only really play it for the gate simulations of other decks. Like, yesterday I ran through the new gate they released, which had you play against classic era decks, Insector Hagas, Meiko Tsunamis, Mai's, Merrick's? Yeah, Merrick's Raw deck, and then Jonochi Kaiba Yugi's. Because of course.
Oh look, we got friends! He's massive! He'll crush us! Nice dash.
Yeah. Could the full Mazinger Zero story be adapted into an anime?
Yes.
I don't see why not. DJ Toku, so do you think Anj also hooked up with Hilda post-show? And if so, do you think Dusk and Hilda deal with each other? How do you think?
Okay, here's
We have images of that being done.
Yeah, like the Lexi canon, which is the proper canon because I say so.
Girl harem.
Yeah, girl harem. Anj and Hilda hooked up because girl bosses be winning, and Tusk is the male wife who is like the bottom. It's like, but didn't I help you a lot in the show? Yes, but I'm a sexy redhead, so get down.
Had a couple bad bricks in which the game maybe could give you a restart hand. I don't think that would be fair unless both players agreed to it, which if one player always gets the perfect hand and the other player always gets the brick hand, they're not going to agree to that. It's like, I main a Blue Eyes deck. Blue Eyes decks are jokingly referred to as Brick Eyes, but literally every hand I get in solo duels, I can work with. Literally every one. I've never had a brick hand in solo dueling. It's just an RNG where I am always stuck in a situation where my opponent gets everything they need, and I am either prevented from doing what I want to do by what they're doing, or I get something that impossibly is unworkable in every respect. It doesn't make sense for me to brick every fucking time, unless I'm specifically being screwed by the RNG. What are your thoughts on Mobile Suit Gundam Age? It tries too heavily to ape Universal Century, and its multiple generation story doesn't work with how it's compressed. If each arc of it... Okay, if each of the first 3 arcs was 26 episodes, I think it would have worked better. But with them condensing 3 arcs into 52 episodes and not splitting them into even 16, it doesn't quite work because you don't get enough time with the characters and setting of each era to really properly explore all the lore appropriately. It needed to be a third longer than it was. But otherwise, people just did not engage with it. I think there's a reason why, when they did the compilation movie for it, they only really adapted the second arc because it felt like the most cohesive and worthwhile story to tell. But yeah, as it was just doing too much redundant Universal Century stuff. Is there an anime where we could focus on a tokusatsu evil organization as a typical Japanese company called Kaijin Kaiha... What? I don't even... No, stop. Just stop. HJ Fies, I felt sorry for the few people I dueled who clearly haven't played in years and just summoned a 2K attack and set something, then wiping them with Medolches. Yeah, I've seen that. Anybody know the reviewer CR, aka Chad Rocco? He used to be part of the Channel Awesome crew. He does this series Familiar Faces. He tried playing Master Duel and getting back into it. He chose the Blue Eyes White Dragon starter deck, then tried to play in Ranked, and got completely destroyed in a turn. And then did a joking post about, this monster is the most terrifying in the game, and it's like, he didn't really know about the power creep. And it was kind of funny, but also pretty sad, because once you see the state of the metagame, you realize Konami really isn't doing anything to make the game playable. They keep making and releasing things that make it worse.
In some ways, I think that's kind of like why Rush Duel has an appeal to it, because, like, I have a full belief that when everything is busted, like, intentionally busted, then nothing is actually busted. Does that make any sense? Like, because, like, the Rush Duel format introduced, like, I don't know what they're called, but they're the monsters where you combine all three of them to make it, like, a big super monster.
Maximum monsters.
Maximum monsters. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of like that concept.
Yeah. My issue is that they're not moderating the truly broken stuff. Like, stuff that should be put on the ban list, but isn't. Because it's specific to this one archetype. But this one archetype is just so dominating that you can't play anything. And with the older stuff, they actually used to moderate that, but not anymore. They've done a horrible job at managing those kinds of things and managing the ban list overall. To the point that they've had to release cards that were on the ban list for years with minor erratas to actually get them off it, because people need them back in play.
Why are you so calm, Elder? You're trapped, and this is our daring rescue of you. Oh, rescuing, is it? Well, thank you, I suppose. Those are quite exciting.
I have not seen Macross Delta. Alexis, they're asking about Macross Delta.
I haven't, like... I'm sorry, but that's, like, the one Macross series I haven't seen, unfortunately. I mean, I saw, like, an episode or two, but the subs that I found were, like...
Incomplete?
Well, no, they are complete, but they're the kind where they add in swears for no reason.
Oh, those.
But from what I did hear, Delta's you either kind of love it or you're indifferent to it. But yeah. I will say that the one thing that the Macross series has over Gundam is that with Gundam, you typically have your lore stories, your coming of age stories, your like you can kind of group them together, right? Like as in they're doing this again.
Whereas
right?
Macross is never quite the same story twice.
Right, like the original Macross is, well, it is the war story, but there's also, you know, bringing together people through the use of songs and, you know, the use of propaganda from, like, you know, trying to distract people through the use of idols. Macross 7 dared ask the question, what if we made the most insane space bard known to man? You know what I mean? Macross Frontier is like if you matched up Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and your typical Macross stuff all in one. Right?
I can agree with that.
Yeah, and it works beautifully in my opinion. Whereas with Macross Delta, it's what if we had like a typical Macross story, but we applied idol group logic to it. You know what I mean? Which, from what I saw and how it was presented, I actually kind of liked that because it felt like a logical step and a build off of what they tried to do in Macross 7, because in Macross 7 there was a subplot of them trying to replicate Neki Basara's like ability to like, you know, heal people through song by like training a whole bunch of recruits to do the same thing, but they couldn't quite do it because they had no heart and spirit behind it.
It's the mass production copycat music thing.
Right, like so that obviously failed in 7, but in Delta they were like, hey, we found these individuals that when they sing, they can actually cure our current crisis, which is there's some disease going around that's causing Zentradi people to like go berserk and ape shit for like some unknown reason, right?
Yeah. Bringing back the superhero topic, any expectations for the Batman?
I've actually been some people have seen it already, and I've been hearing decent things.
I'm not engaged or enthused to see it, mainly because I've got nothing against Robert Pattinson, but I'm not exactly interested in seeing more with the guy. In part because, you know, the Twilight stigma. Which, to be fair, the guy should not be typecast as just Edward from those movies. That is something wrong to say. It's just, from what I've seen of his prior performances, I'm just not engaged to see this dark, gritty, almost emo-esque interpretation of Bruce Wayne. So it's just something that does not completely appeal to me. I am fine with brooding Bruce Wayne, but that kind of it's the emo Peter problem from Spider-Man 3, if that makes any sense to people. Watching the Gundam series, I'm halfway through the UC. Do you have any opinion on Hathaway after I watch Unicorn? Hathaway.
I'm stealing this from Kakarot 197. Hathaway was a decent kid until Charged Counterattack, where he became a team-killing simp.
Yeah, not entirely wrong, but basically, Hathaway is villainized in the same way that Lelouch is from Code Geass, in that he is the person trying to give people back their freedoms, but he fails. It's part of the same universal century problem that the reforms and wars keep the reforms keep failing, so the wars keep happening. Emerald DC, I might not remember, but it's weird that we haven't gotten another Super Warriors game with time skips like Double and Z, considering Double does it so well, and it's kind of strange they don't try it once every 10 years. Like, time skip stories, sectioned off stories. Like, I can kind of see that.
Yeah, and time skipping is a very hard thing to pull off successfully.
Yeah, it kind of requires the stories being permissible for it. Like, they have a time skip built into them. Z got away with it because both Code Geass and Gundam 00 have their seasons sectioned off, so there is a time skip. Gravion was part of those games, and Gravion has a time skip between its first and second season. There are ways to accommodate those kinds of things, but once you hit the once you're trying to do something with the series after its end, then you have to do more and more stuff that's original, and not every series has dangling plot threads or incomplete character arcs or reset character arcs with which to do much with them. They often just have to play into another story to have something to do with that. Like Super Robot Wars V did with Seed Destiny in its post-story, and having them tie in, inform, and assist along the way with the Cross-Age story. Not every series has that type of compatibility to do that kind of thing.
Like, an example of a series that you would have to time skip for, not necessarily have to, but I think if you want the complete experience, you would have to time skip, would be Lasner, because there is a hard time skip after a point, and the story shifts dramatically, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Nico Nanbaka is asking if I've downloaded Super Robot Wars Double. I think they weren't here for the stream when I said I've already got the download. I've already seen the patches of the translation. They do some preferences with fan translation for stuff that has official translation material that differs from their own, but I can't run it because Windows 11 is not compatible with Melon DS, the only active DS emulator around at the time. Windows 11 can't run it.
If there is a way to run it, we just don't know it.
Yeah, I can't get it. I can't fix it right now. HJ Fuzz thinks the emo bits in the trailers are mostly caused by the eye makeup. I was not actually referring to that. I was talking more about the moodiness that Robert Pattinson is bringing to Bruce Wayne's character. Not to say that he has not been moody or has not been grimdark, but I think the presentation is a bit off for that. I honestly prefer how Batman Begins handled most of that. So another early side story, the Batman Year One-ing of it, not as engaging to me. Jason Best, to be fair to Hathaway, didn't do that much, and when you watched Star Counterattack, felt like they made him do the story about him and this girl he doesn't remember, but word salad. Basically, I agree. The entire thing with quests in Char's Counterattack is one gigantic plot tumor distracting from what the story should have been about, which is, like, not focused on.
If you removed quests from Char's Counterattack, I would still have problems with it, but at the very least, I wouldn't have to deal with quests.
Yeah. Thoughts on VTubers like Hololive, Niji Sanji, and such? We don't actively follow most of them. I follow a couple V-idols who do covers of stuff, like Saki Ashizawa. I love Saki Ashizawa's covers of songs. But we've not exactly engaged much in that. I think, what's the Silver Fox girl? Silver Knight? I'm honestly forgetting her name, but I've watched a bit of her stuff, and not a huge fan. It's, like, nothing wrong with them, but
it's
a time commitment thing.
Right. You gotta understand, like, our jobs are very demanding, and because, like, we're night shift people, a lot of these streams are taking place during the night or during the day when we're sleeping, so it's like...
So we can only catch... If we wanted to watch them, we can only catch the replays, but even then, we're often so busy. Last year, we lost track of a lot of stuff going on because we just got stuck with so much freaking overtime.
I can't stress enough, folks, that the overtime we experienced last year was just debilitating, and it got soul-crushing at points.
It was a second year where I did 400 hours of overtime. I think I might have actually reached 500 or close to by the end of the year with how much we were getting called in. And that's probably an exaggeration, but it was definitely over 400 hours again for me. I only ask that the Batman does something other than none of the other Batman movies have done. Don't have him kill people. Yeah, fair enough. At the very least, when they have Batman kill people in the live-action movies, it's usually done at points where... I don't want to say he hasn't learned it, but there are obviously extreme circumstances behind them, or he openly regrets it. Silver Veil, that's her name. Yeah, I've seen some of her stuff. Thoughts on the new Space Battleship Yamato anime? We watched 2202 recently. We have not seen anything for 2205. We will probably get to it after the series is dubbed.
If you have not seen the Space Battleship Yamato 2199 or 2202...
Watch them.
Watch them because they are both, like, I would consider them 10 out of 10 series, but each season does its own thing.
Yeah, one caveat with 2202 or 2199... Do not expect the same story as 2199. They do something different. Don't hold it to the same expectations as 2199. It's continuing the story. It is not a complete repeat. I think that's some people's problem with the second season overall, in consideration of both of them, where they want more of the same when there's no story with doing more of the same. You have to address the problems that occur from new characters getting involved in things. Like, if you want to continue on with a character journey, you need to have new complications in it. You can't just do more of the same.
And like 2202, animation-wise, is like amazing.
It is Studio Zebek's swan song. After this, they were divvied up between IMO. I'm forgetting the name of the company that owns the Pokemon rights, and Sunrise, who bought out the actual studio stuff. Like, ILM got the...
OLM?
OLM. Oriental Light and Magic. Yeah, OLM got most of the IP rights that Zebek had, whereas the actual staff and studios went to Sunrise for the company Sunrise Beyond, who did Build Divers Re-Rise and did Kyokai Senki recently. Aseo55, your opinion on Hiroto Kuga compared to Riku from Build Divers? A lot of the problem with Build Divers is its dialogue is in the sense of an as you know. As you know what's going on in the story, we should still repeat it to you because we have to tell each other what's going on in the story as you know. That's kind of the problem with a lot of the first build diver stuff, whereas it treats it as if it's a game tutorial for the early stuff, and that really makes it very hard to watch and get engaged with. And I think the other problem with Riku that other people have commented on it to me, it's like, despite it being structured as if they're new to this, they kind of end up going a bit overblown on...
Like, how do you know how to be such an awesome pilot, like, immediately, despite you just getting into the game?
Yeah, whereas Hiroto is taken from the angle of, he's experienced in this one thing, has a backstory tied into earlier days with the game that have affected him. He's basically a Haseo-like character with a lot of stuff, which makes him interesting and engaging, and he acts as an actual character arc and development for what's going on with him. And also the mechs he uses because of the planet system, which I just love the planet system.
If you're, like, I feel like the core Gundam, I've said it before on other streams, the core Gundam is like the most important Gundam that Sunrise has put out, or not Sunrise, Bandai has put out in like a very long time, because through the core Gundam you can do and the planet system you could do whatever the heck you want. You know what I mean? Like, it is truly customizable, and if you give it some time and patience, you can make anything. Like, I've seen people take the core Gundam and make Gao Gaigar armor.
It's like it was specifically made for customizers, which most of the build series have been especially bent towards appealing to the customization arena for Gunpla, but it's like Build Divers Re-Rise with the planet system took it to an entirely new level. Jason Best has a weird fact. They were first introduced to Gundam through Sergeant Frog when they parodied it.
Honestly, that's not bad. That's
not a bad source of introduction.
I mean, like, you never know when you're going to be introduced to your next favorite thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sometimes those homages and references, when you look them up, send you down a unique rabbit hole. Hell, there's an actual crossover parody commercial between .hack GU and Sergeant Frog, which is all types of strange. I actually kind of had hoped that Discotech would snatch that commercial for their Blu-rays, if only to get an HD version of it, because the only one on YouTube is like in 260p, or like 280. It's not 360, it's the one below. Yeah, 140, 280, 360. Yeah, it's in 280, and it's like, it's tiny pixelated quality. I want it in higher def. A storm is brewing.
You see what you did?
Blew him off the stand.
It's like this spider went whee!
Oh, it's a spider. I didn't realize that. Because it kind of looks like a dot.
I don't know, dot.
Maybe if this was Shapeland.
Oh, Sam, we're going to Shapeland?
Yeah, if you guys have not seen Defunctland's video about the Fast Pass and Disney lines, watch that. It's 2 hours well spent. Hour 40 well spent. It's a good video.
It makes a subject that's normally boring super interesting.
And kind of hilarious with the presentation. Like, deadpan hilarious presentation. Thoughts on the recent P-Bandai announcement? I'm assuming you're referring to the Phantom Gundam, and I will be so pissed when P-Bandai US inevitably announces its release and listing time for a night where we're working, because that keeps fucking happening. Because like, their listings open up at 8 p.m. for us, and 8 p.m. for us is an hour before our break. So we either need to go away from our stations to use the bathrooms at that time, which unfortunately, it's not to the extent of the nonsense that has gone mimetic. We are still discouraged from taking long bathroom breaks, and the bathroom areas do not exactly have good Wi-Fi reception for internet access. But yeah, either we do that on a night if we're working that night, or we absolutely will not get a chance to order on the listing because it will go out of stock. Bandai US just has too little stock to meet demand. That is a consistent problem with them.
And with the Phantom Gundam, that's still like one of the ones that people have been wanting the most of.
Yeah.
Oh, like, I think that thing's gonna sell out simply because of the effect parts. Like,
yeah, those are very extensive effect parts. So, odds are the only chance Alexis and I will get to actually grab one if it goes up on a night where we're working is if we wait until it releases in Japan and then get it through Mandarake. It's legitimately the only plausible option for us, because odds are once it goes out of stock on P Bandai, then Big Bad Toy Store is likewise going to sell out. Because they're the only other American company that does Japanese P Bandai exclusive listings. They are unfortunately priced jacked to hell through them because they have to go through a different expensive distributor to get stuff, but there's not like exactly a better option. You're going to be paying more for shipping from Mandarake regardless.
Jabby.
We have no time for their jibber jabber.
Oh dang, I didn't mean to do that.
Jabby jabber?
Jabber jaw? Yeah. We have to fight an award.
Oh no, it's the mouse police.
No, they're not mouses, they're mosquitoes.
They kind of look like pigeons. Is this a pigeon?
Are you a pigeon? Commits murder!
Actually, I think they might be bees, because mosquitoes don't have hives. Took too long?
No, like all my meat guys died.
Ah.
Wait, let's try that again. And that's it. Viva the revolution!
With SRW, VX, and T, which has your favorite story? The person asking it was V. Honestly, V is the best one to me of the translated ones. T is the close second, but I feel it goes too deep into repeating things it shouldn't have for the post-game stuff. Like, yes, it's doing those repetitions appropriately because, story recreation is part of the bread and butter of the Super Robot Wars games, but it feels like it has a more difficult time combining the stories into one full setting. Do you like SMG4?
Or you mean SMT?
Do they mean Shin Megami Tensei 4? Because we've not played that.
Yeah, I don't know what's SMG for.
Super Wars Devil's been translated. We know I can't play it because Melon DS is not compatible with Windows 11. There are, unfortunately, mistranslations part of their work. I don't exactly blame them because it's usually a fan translation versus official translation issue.
And also, like, the fact that, like, when it comes to these fan translations, it's usually, like, one or two people doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a pure passion kind of.
The thing with preferring using fan translations when there's official translations for those kinds of things is just, you know, a credibility kind of thing. Like, can we trust your translation if you use what is the improper translation of something? Now, Alexis will be back in a minute. I am open to questions. I think we've run through a bunch of them, so if you guys are just feeling tapped out on that, that's fine. I gotta turn on the light because it's starting to get dark. So, heads up for people who are actually part of my Patreon, you guys will be getting a video tomorrow, presuming YouTube doesn't screw with it. Yeah, I am still doing a few scripted videos this year, just not anywhere near as much as I did last year. SMG for the YouTube channel series where the main joke is Mario as an idiot in the style of Mario 64. It's been doing it for 10 years, just so you know. I've never heard of them, so I can't say I like them, but I'm not exactly appealed to the concept because I, in general, hate idiot characters, especially idiot protagonists. It's weird Gold Line only appear in double, as you would think it would be in more, make other appearances in other titles, though it could be the fact that I see it as its Voltron counterpart population rather than the OG. I think that's part of the problem, because Voltron is such a property over here distinct from Gold Lion, that it's overblown its influence, whereas Go Line was just one single series and then moved on from in Japan. It doesn't have the same zeitgeist surrounding it. Another series who should have been added to Super Robot Wars V. Not really. Alternately, series I think should have been cut from the game. Less focus on Universal Century, in my opinion, is a generally good thing. V male, X female, T male, 30 female. Really? You didn't indulge in Sachan? Sagiri Sakurai is one of the best things about T, in my opinion.
Oh, she absolutely is. Listen. Super Robot Wars T said, hey, you know, like being part of a robot piloting company? Yeah. What if we made it gay?
What do you mean if she's the oblivious girl boss harem protagonist? It's hilarious.
Like,
every girl is into her, and she doesn't understand why. Would you ever cover the Metabots anime? I actually like the Metabots anime, but I don't think that would be good fodder for me to cover, because I'm not that engaged. And the Metabots anime actually comes in at a strange midpoint in the story of the story with respect to the game storyline. Have you heard about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind fan translation? I heard there was voice acting. Was there a problem with Golden Experience?
I don't know about a fan translate. I never heard about that, to be honest. But I just know that.
Is this about the manga where they're adding voice dubbing to the panels they're doing, or an actual fan dub of the anime?
Because here's the thing about like fan dubbing and officially dubbed anime.
You don't
because as much as I would love it to have Golden Experience and like all the original stand names, the fact is that when they're bringing it over to us due to
you have trademark and licensing name rights conflicts.
As you probably don't know, in Japan they view copyright in a much different light than like the rest of the world does. It's in that, like, sure, let's name a stand after a rock and roll singer or song, right?
Yeah, because those are to them open references and homages.
Right, and they're not trying to be mean about it. That's just part of the creation of these characters.
They're alluding to those things and promoting them that way. Right. Whereas American copyright, you own the name, you're not allowed to use it without permission.
Right, and it to a fault. So calling like Golden... Now, my only caveat is, if you're going to rename a stand or a character, rename it to something that's close to or, like, still in the spirit of. You know what I mean?
Flaccid Pancake.
Flaccid Pancake is apparently the official localization name of the stand Limp Bizkit, and I think that is the funniest freaking thing ever because there's gonna be a scene in Stone Ocean where the name Limp Bizkit was said in a very menacing tone, like over and over again. But if they keep the English localization, then they're gonna be saying the phrase "flaccid pancake" in the most menacing way possible,
and the Limp Bizkit's dignity will finally die if they have any left.
Yeah. Or like, what's another good example? Like Crazy Diamond, who, what is the English dubs calling it? I forget what they called it, but it was like something close. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like you have to do the illusion because of reasonable, okay, not so reasonable, but still reasonable excuses. But you it's a complicated issue. English voice action. That tells me nothing. Yeah, they're adding they're voice acting to the PS2 Golden Wind game.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that, and in that case, that's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's actually pretty nice that they're translating that game and going that far with that. This one's more comedy, but do you think An should have had a larger harem? I think one guy and one girl is enough. If you're going to do the threesome thing, if you go too far in the harem scenario, then you get kind of messy. Like, how do you manage that much?
Like, the ideal harem, quote unquote, is like a triangle situation, because then the more characters you start to add, you get the love squares and the love dodecahedrons. You know what I mean?
Or the love hazard sign, as it is with Symphogear.
Yeah, where everybody is shippable with everybody in some degree or another.
Yeah, and all of them intersect through Chris.
Because she is that dang lovable.
It's like, you only have 2 hands, but what if others' hands hold those hands?
Exactly, and then we're all, like, in one giant harem together.
The polycule situation. But yeah, if it's around one person, if the harem is formed around one central person, you can really only do it with 2 other people, and have it make any sense. Like, it's just you can't decide, so you're leaving it up to the others involved whether they would want to share. And it's like, it's as far as that's reasonable to go with it. Go any farther and it gets more insane to manage. The other thing is, you have to be honest about it, which I think is the whole stigma about multi-partner relationships too, that has been a back and forth. Like, there was a time when the nobility did the full multiple wives or wives and mistresses thing, and it's only puritanical times where it's become more stigmatized, but it's still not something any normal person you would see engaging with.
The only solution is polyamory.
Yeah. It's just like, I think a lot of anime fans have gotten more open to the idea simply because of how many freaking harem series there are.
Right, and also, like, just... Like, come on, people, stop, like, giving us so many options for good characters. You know what I mean? We don't want to see them all happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, I really like Haseo 55's comment. Ryo Misaki x Chigusa Kusaka OTP. It's canon, so no arguments. Nico Nambaka is disappointed the Shin Getter Robo wasn't in 30. I know Dragon is stronger, but Robo has more variety.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Like, the fact that we get, like, a sprite of the thing, and then it switches over to, like, Dragon immediately, it's like, there's no tension.
Yeah.
Like, in Super Warriors T, it was like a big moment because... Like,
and then you kind of have to nerf it. I think it would have been balanced had the true Shin Getter been piloted by Ryoma, Kei, and Guy through the early part of the story. So, you can actually use the other Getter Robo Armageddon characters that keep getting shafted.
Because they are characters that do have defined roles, but they keep getting punted off for some reason.
to the backside of the story because the story, for some reason, doesn't want to use their story, and it's annoying.
Run away!
Not enough?
Yeah, like we only have 11 and they had 100.
Clearly, this is a numbers match. I've seen people not liking Cross Age for some aspects from early on, and I totally understand that. Yeah, the first few episodes of Cross Age are definitely the make it or break it ones, because everything after the first few episodes explains and explores why things were that way early on, which justify them more than any condemnation would have with them to make it a pretty decent series. So it's just a problem of there's so many anime series out there that if something doesn't hold you immediately, then someone is not exactly going to want to stick around past that point. There's like only so many hours in the day. So it's a legitimate perspective, but if you actually stuck around, you saw the merit of the material. As opposed to, you know, something being bad throughout.
Like, that's all, yeah. It's like, justify your show, you know what I mean?
Justify your existence.
Yes. It's a lot harder than it sounds, apparently.
I think it's because just some writers don't realize what a problem is until they're completely done with it in retrospect. So they can't exactly fix something in post, or when they start fixing it, they start compounding the errors because they still don't understand what people didn't like. Cross Age was clear that it knew what it was doing. It's just that it's not visible immediately from the first episodes because it goes so hard. Or like a DLC where Amuro's Hainu were due to Emperor shenanigans, Ryoma Hayato and Benkei get the Emperor from Devolution, or the Getter from Devolution. There was at a point release data that implied that the Devolution Getter 1 might be in Super Robot Wars 30, but that's been shown to be a misnomer for it. Like, they weren't actually doing that. It's just metadata that was in the game that wasn't actually anything they were actually doing, as far as we know.
Sorry if it seems like I'm wandering around. I'm trying to remember a game that I hadn't touched since I was a kid.
How much longer is this chapter?
Maybe like, we still got a little bit to go. If the stream's going on a bit too long, I can always find a save point and we could call it.
I'd rather get to the end of the chapter if we could. Just have to remember that it's like 4:18. Isn't the MST3K live stream gonna be soon?
Yeah, and I still kind of want to order pizza for that.
Yeah.
Like, that's understandable, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because MST3K is doing something tonight. Pre-release for their 13th season that we got in on Kickstarter for, so got previews for that. Do you like to play Nintendo GBA DS emulators if you have the time? Not really. I prefer keeping my save games on the physical cartridges. I do have emulator copies for in the event the game completely fails, but that happens a lot less with DS games. Hell, the DS games I'm going to be reviewing in the near future, I all have physical copies of, and I have a DS capture card. Unfortunately, the DS capture card has been giving me problems, and you can't exactly do that with everything. Though the main problem with my DS capture card is just getting the audio off of the DS and recorded onto the system, because there's something wrong with the audio cable I'm using for that, where it's not reading correctly, so I'm getting all kinds of audio glitches. Are they bringing more recruits? Oh.
There we go.
Have you played Tales of Berseria? No.
I want to. Again, there's just not enough time in the days. But yeah, we little Petuni. We found his little sister.
And they were right next door the entire time!
Yep. I have something for you. I meant to give this to you sooner, but look, it's a mushroom. Mushrooms are your favorite, aren't they, Big Brother? But
it looks like a gun.
no, this one kind of got tried out. Oh, nasty. Big Brother? It was icky, wasn't it? I'm sorry. I totally don't have food poisoning right now.
I think he has food poisoning right now.
Alright, so, here's a question. Whose cooking would you rather eat, or rather, what's your method of execution? Mithra's cooking, or Yukiko and Chie's cooking with curry? You have to choose.
I choose to go hungry.
What, you're gonna, like, make these ladies sad and go hungry?
Both of them are censored! When food is censored in the series, you know not to eat it!
It can't be that bad. Takes one bite. Huh. I'm in heaven now for some reason.
I'm so playing the Kabutostein every time her cooking stuff comes up.
I love how the Torna DLC has an entire side quest where she thinks she's like the most awesome cook because, like, when it came time for the judges to comment on it, they said, well, you know, your dish really highlighted the qualities of this other dish.
Pride and insecurity.
And then she's like, ha, do you hear that? If you ever need cookie tips, I can give you a few pointers. But yes, we have 101 army. Look at our minions.
Jax Demon wishes that they could play Thousand Year Door again if only copies weren't so expensive. I know, right? I actually started looking for it for a full year. Unfortunately, the year I started looking for it was at the beginning of the pandemic. Eventually, I just bit the bullet.
Did you cock the bullet?
I did not cock the bullet, I bit the bullet.
He actually bit the bullet.
Terror of Death. Alexis, you monster! Why would you do that to Des?
Des knows what he did.
Do I, though?
Actually, I honestly don't know. Your future evil self did something.
Irregardless. Game. Did you try Digimon Re-Arise? I did not. I don't do mobile games. Like, I used my phone for three things. For calls, for texts, and for accessing the internet when I'm away from home. Actually, I probably need to dump my Google Chrome history on my phone. It's getting kind of...
Alright, minions. It's time!
It's the pest control alarm. Half your army is dead.
Oh gosh. Look at all this carnage. They're all dead deaths.
Nika Numbak is annoyed that Digimon Survive was delayed like 5 times. I actually have a pre-order for that still at the wrong GameStop. Like, the one that's farthest from us, because we moved.
And I heard, like, the reason for that is because it keeps switching publishers.
Like, how does that even work at this point?
I don't even know. Like, it's cursed.
Because, like, the publisher is Bandai, so...
No, not publisher, developer.
Developer. Yeah, so, like, is it's definitely a development hell situation, and not just caused by the pandemic. Though, what if I like how released during the pandemic? Because Survive is a theme.
If you don't fight, you won't survive. I feel daggers on the back of my neck.
Not daggers.
What?
Did you see the Digivolution that came for the game? No. Ever watched any of the works of Gary Anderson? Probably have, just might be forgetting the name. Or it's spelled wrong. Gary Anderson. Yeah, Gerry. Oh, yeah, the Thunderbirds guy. Yeah, I watched Thunderbirds. I didn't see much else of what he's done. Oh, Space 1999. That's another one where...
Uh-oh.
I've heard of it, but didn't exactly engage much with it.
Oh no, we're captured! Really a little trap on it, boy did you bite on it.
We must escape this cage. Just like Mario uses fade paper powers. Pattern puzzle?
Yep, pattern puzzle. Yeah. It's amazing how much of a game you retain after like so many years.
Hmm.
And again, I did play this game like many times front to back, so... to the left.
I was expecting the puzzle to be right next door.
No, not next door, but I know where it is.
Yeah. It's in that one room back there. Is that Thunderbirds thing by the guy who made Ava out yet? No? Ever played Custom Robo? I've heard of it, but I've not played it. You sound real tired. That's how I normally sound. It's like there's not much difference. Granted, I only got up an hour before we started the stream, so that might be some of it. On the other hand, at least we're getting another Digimon story game. Oh, I didn't hear about that. If it's like the Cyber Sleuths, then that'll be a good thing.
Super boots.
You can now kick things even harder.
I'm Toadette. Welcome to the void.
Is there anything wrong about this place? Well, you can only... Yeah, your voice echoes if you say the word void. 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 You have now learned a move from the Donkey Kong 64 game.
So remember, when in doubt, slam your butt into things. God dang it.
Platform jumping.
Whoa, 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 whoa. You mean to tell me that this...
Platform jumping! Your one weakness!
Okay, let's try this again.
Does that thing matter?
Yeah, it's a badge.
In that case, platform jumping! Your one weakness!
Davis, you be failing at this too.
Oh no, no.
Alright. Now that we have the... Now we get... Like, just think about it. The sheer destructive force of Mario's buttocks will smash things. I guess Italians are built different.
Hmm. Oh, it's actually at 7 p.m. our time, so we got time. Santo and the Treasure of Dracula! I just need the sign-up email. One has to wonder how Mario Company can handle slamming their butts on anything with ground pounds without feeling anything, especially during Mario parties. This is a very good question. I can see this being a pain.
There we go.
You got 101 out of 101.
Yeah, there we go.
It's kind of funny they can't escape a light square. Do you have interest in Kyle Higgins' Radiant Black comic? I've heard a lot of good things about Kyle Higgins as a writer, mainly from how he tried to fill plot holes in a non-canon comic series for Power Rangers, but I don't agree with everything, but regardless, I respect him as a writer. Thing is, I'm not really engaged much in comics, so that it's just not a me thing these days. Hell, I haven't actually finished, reading the recent Kobayashi's Dragon Maid manga simply because I've not had the time.
Oh, Davis, you need more time. Just go to the spice section of the store.
Spice?
Yeah, time. You know time. Look it up, it's a spice. Time.
No, Alexis, it's he who controls the spice controls the universe, not time.
Exactly. Well,
space, not time.
So one spice controls space. Listen.
Are you underwater now? Or is that the tank back there?
Yeah, it was just a tank. That's what I thought, okay.
Yeah, they didn't exactly cross the bridge. Or lack thereof.
Well, what we're going to do... I know! Arson!
Fill with water.
Just want to make sure.
Yep, water switch. They can swim over, for all it's good for them. We just destroyed an ecosystem!
Intentionally. See, kids, by destroying the ecosystem, you can save lives.
What about playing Pokemon Unite for a stream? I got it recently. Pokemon Unite.
Oh, that's a mobile game.
Yeah, we can't do... I don't like mobile games, and we can't exactly stream mobile games. We have Pokemon Arceus, though. I can do that. I'm considering doing that. Considering we're trying to get into a weekly streaming schedule for at least a few hours a week. So we might just start trading off Arceus, me, Paper Mario, Lexi, and then John wants to stream a few things.
Honor the old. Oh, wait, that.
You're about to get trial maximum drived.
Ah, dang it! I forgot the orb.
The all-powerful orb! Drops it. Oh, broke it.
Son of a!
It's okay, no one will know. like, David Bowie and a guy who has invisible limbs will never really be fighting over it or something.
I swear to God, I made the same mistake as a kid.
Forgetting an important key item? Yeah, it happens. Oh great, you can sell that for cash. Yeah, you first took it out and then you put it back in. For some reason.
Likes to get dumb.
Unite originally released on Nintendo Switch, though it eventually got released on mobile, though it feels designed for mobile. Did not know that, still don't have a copy, no interest in playing.
Ah, dang, I got shot in the back.
I bet I could transfer the new mods and performance from Arceus to Gen 9. Would be nice. Kind of the reason I'm playing. I still need to go back to the areas of Sword that I didn't actually exactly touch on, too. But that's a time commitment. Mainly, I just want regional variants. Like, honestly, I know I'm not alone in thinking that the regional variants thing was one of the smartest things they ever did. Are you going to Dino Fury? I don't know what that means.
Whatever you say, young kid.
And when Unite was co-made by Tencent. Yeah, no then. HD Fries barely got into Sword back in the day, but after Arceus, I want to go back and maybe finish it and maybe Sun. I should go back and finish Sun too. I never finished that one either. But here's the thing about back in the day for Pokemon Sword and Shield. It was the last big game release before the pandemic. Think about that.
Yeah, we're nearing the end.
I also meant watch Dino Fury. Are you gonna watch Dino Fury? No! I have zero interest in that adaptation. Like, the second they decided to do a space alien leader knight guy, that for the preview information, that's when I bowed out in, like, you're not getting this. You seem to be repeating the same mistakes you always do. I am not going to engage. Also, your music is still so terrible that it threatens me having seizures. GX Demon also feels bad for Gen 8 for all it went through before and after launch, pre- and post-DLC. I know, right? People hate on Pokemon games just to hate on Pokemon games at this point. Like, the games are good, yes, but they're not Gen 1. No one wants them to be Gen 1 again. They're doing different things. I really hate they look terrible because their graphics are bad complaints, because those are especially insipid, because Pokemon games use a distinct art style that doesn't require super over heavyweight graphics that can sometimes break the game engine, because those graphics are like that with bad games. Like what were some bad ones? The Order, 1313, the one where the face textures got ripped off the actual faces because they overdid the graphical layer to them. It's like, graphics are not the end-all be-all to a goddamn video game. Also, HJ5 wants them to keep in Gen 9 to keep the catching outside the battle mechanic from Legends of Arceus. I have no idea what that's reference to, but considering we'll be playing the game soon, we'll probably have context to it. Which, if there's a different catching mechanic, I would not mind.
God, nothing to see here. We're just trying to outrun a time bomb.
So what was this about spice and time again?
Oh yeah, there's a spice called Thyme, like Thyme.
Oh, Thyme.
Yeah, Thyme.
Oh, the graphics arc with Gen 8 was such a wildfire. I hope it doesn't happen again. Oh no, they're already doing it for Gen 9. That's the thing. They showed off the improved graphical textures for wild Pokemon, and people were saying, this isn't like Call of Duty. It's like, Call of Duty has terrible graphics. They always have. They hit Uncanny Valley years ago. For Gen 9, what's the starter we plan to use? I am in adoration of the Grass Kitty. Alexis likes the Fire Croc, which we believe might be becoming a snake. Oh yeah, a Justice is just like me. I usually do fire types too, and Grass Kitty is just so appealing.
Yeah, cause like I'm just imagining that you like stroking that cat like an evil genius.
Also, when John gets his cats, we need to keep away the green dye from it.
Okay. Also...
Did they just pull an Eggman?
Yes. Yep, this is our boss.
It's a cardboard box bot.
Yes.
I'm behind this.
Magnus
Especially the accordion arms.
Yep. This is the Magnus von Grapple.
Magnaphon Graffle? What's it specialize in? Kicking, mostly.
Yep. That's Magnus von Grapple. It's a giant robot built with the Exons. Lord Crump drives it.
Crumple the paper. Crumple the paper.
Magnus von Punish.
It does specialize in kicking.
So you weren't wrong, Davis.
See, this is what I said about my psychic powers. I just play the odds, and I'm usually right. Nico Nambaka is going to go with the fire starter, but is more excited to see what new electric types there are, because electric type is their favorite. I don't disagree with that. There have been a lot of interesting electric types out there, but my favorites are usually fightings or psychic types. The occasional ghost, but like it's still hard to top Gengar to me. Honestly, I want the secondary types of the starters to be something that hasn't been done before,
Also,
or at least done less.
Rocket punches.
Of course. Like, I would love it if the fire starter became a fire poison. Or actually, one of the starters ending up an electric type. Like, I would love it if the grass starter became a grass electric. that's a combo we don't see much. Nika Nambaka actually really likes Sword Shield because of toxicity.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah. H85 hopes the fossils are better than Sword Shield. No, they look like that, but I still hate the mixed designs. I kind of agree. I don't really remember the fossil Pokemon from that one.
Oh yeah, the fossil Pokemon from Sword and Shield were kind of intentionally designed to be like abomination.
Yeah. Actually, I read a Pokemon fanfic recently where they kind of went silly with Rampardos only knowing and using headbutts, and yet they kill everything with headbutts.
Yeah.
Like, they headbutted a ghost. How do you headbutt a ghost? Zen headbutt. That was actually the joke. Because the trainer didn't know what moves the Rampardos knew because they only ever used headbutt.
We're gonna finish this off. Body slam. There, this could be the end.
Is it the end?
Boss defeated.
Yay.
And
You managed to do it in under 3 hours.
I had a feeling it was gonna take me up. That's kind of like why I like the third chapter, because that's mainly like all in one location and there's not a lot of exploring.
So you could say it's built efficiently?
Yeah, it's basically wrestling.
Eh.
Yep. So in the next chapter, we'll basically be joining a fight club and then working our way up a tournament bracket.
Simple story.
Yeah, simple story with some conspiracy, mystery, and a Yoshi.
Yeah. And you won't have to wait, like, almost a year for us to get back to this. Like I said before, we're trying to do a more regular streaming schedule, so we might swap around what we do every week or every other week, but we will be working to get things more on a regular rotation. Okay, so we're gonna save, and pretty much time for our outro on this. Any last minute questions? I'm waiting for any last minute questions to show up.
On.
It's moving forward after you saved?
Yeah, I moved, but I'm not gonna actually press any more buttons. I'm trying to like activate the Wii mode so I can.
Yeah, it's being finicky. I swear this happened earlier, so. Yeah, it's not reading, so that's annoying. HD5 is hoping for an actual Tiger Pokemon. We would have got 2 in Gen 2. They didn't happen, along with some other cool designs. Anything recycled that they haven't done before would just be fun. Okay, so yeah, that's gonna be the last question we're gonna take. Thank you for everyone for coming. The stream should be live on YouTube after we're done. Who's streaming next? I'm streaming Legends of Arceus next week. I know that I said that was the last question, but it comes in. It came into what we were going to be doing next. If that goes well, we'll probably continue that. I am still, though, trying to work on videos for next year as much as I can. I'm basically just in the scripting phase alongside getting a bunch of stuff for the house done, like getting back into the groove with a lot of things. For those who saw this live, on Patreon, you'll be seeing a new scripted video next week. I'm actually rendering it after we finish the stream, and hopefully that'll go well. It's an anniversary one, so those are always special when they pop up on time for the goddamn anniversary. But anyways, thank you all for stopping by. We will see you.